Along with Jay Milne, I'm Reid Wilkins, and we will rock you. Going into a long weekend here. Of course, the Oilers play in Vancouver tomorrow. We'll preview that one for you. CFL Division Finals tomorrow. Montreal, Toronto, and Saskatchewan and Winnipeg. We're going to look into these changes with the CHL and the NCAA. Our buddy Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show is going to explain what's happening and sort of lay out how this might affect junior hockey in Canada. And we got a local author of a new book about Father David Bauer. Matt Hoven from the U of A, from St. Joseph's College at the U of A, is going to check in as we go along. We do have a bit of a mystery about one of our colleagues here that we'll dive into a little bit later on as well. Who is the real Tom Gazzola? But that's for later on in the show. I don't know if we really can get into that quite yet because we'll take a couple hours to see if we can further solve the mystery. Jay, how are you doing, my friend?
I am doing peachy keen, Reid. I don't know what that means, but I think it means good.
Peachy keen means you're doing very good.
Very good.
Of course, the peach is a fruit associated with happiness and prosperity, I guess.
You're making that up.
I'm just putting my poppy on my 780 shirt. First time I've worn this. Very comfortable and beautiful shirt. Who's on this shirt? For the people on YouTube, who is this guy?
Isn't that Tony the Tiger?
I think that's another corporation. Is it just a kind of intimidating purple animal?
I think so.
Okay.
It's a nice shirt. It looks very good. The shirt I wore mine yesterday, and they're very soft.
They are very soft. I like soft, comfortable, roomy clothing, as you know. The 780, of course, presenting our EST Flyaway to LA. We'll have the keyword for that at some point during this program as well. So we're going to have a fun 3 hours here on a Friday afternoon. How's your day been, buddy?
It's been lovely. Came on the Hangout earlier. That was fun. It was a little bit of a spicy morning show from what I can understand. So things trickled over and carried over into the Hangout. It was great.
I saw bits and pieces of the Hangout. It sounded like it was pretty fun, which is good. Matthew, okay. I'm not going to tell somebody how to behave, but my goodness. He was having a good morning, wasn't he?
He was having a great morning. He was feeling it on a Friday.
He was having a very good morning. Hey, let us know how your day is going in the nasty chat on YouTube, and also if you're there on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up as we want to keep our streak alive of getting to at least 100 thumbs up every program. We've been doing pretty good with that. 780-218-9999 is the number to text the program with your thoughts, and you can also email reid@edmontonsportstalk.com. I look forward to getting an email from the Big Uke at some point as he's been sending in a daily limerick, which has been quite heartwarming and creative.
You know what I heard? This is a rumor, but I heard that next week, so long as we keep getting to 100 likes, that our liege, Dustin Nielsen, will be giving us leftover Halloween candies from his children's Halloween sacks.
They didn't eat all of them?
Nobody ever does. Oh. You know those ones that are always at the bottom.
Oh,
it's
like
always
the gross
same
ones.
Yeah. So we're going to get the offcasts of the Nielsen family Halloween trick-or-treat loot bags. That's a rumor.
That's incredibly exciting. All right, Oilers travel today to Vancouver. Game is tomorrow at 8. We will have coverage on Edmonton Sports Talk. The GCL Diesel pregame show with Tom and Hernan will be at 7. They'll be on after the game to break it down as well. Mentioned the CFL Division Finals come up tomorrow. We're going to dive into that with John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. You want to do the predictions now, right off the top? Give people something solid off the top, our big predictions for tomorrow's games?
Sure.
Okay, go. We got to do the scores as well. Zach, can you record this for prosperity?
To record this?
Can you write this down?
Okay. Can I write? There we go. Yes, I can.
Or put it or do a folder on your lap. Okay, you got paper? All right. The kids these days don't even use paper.
They're like, "Where's my notes app?
Where's my notes app?" Like, is handwriting still a thing? Does anybody print? Is it all texting?
They teach that in school still.
Do they?
Cursive writing. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I had it in grade 3, and I've never done it ever since.
Well, that explains a lot.
So I know we have computers and this is being taped, but just so you have it on a sheet of paper to refer to. We're going to do our predictions for the scores, winning teams and scores in tomorrow's games. We'll do the East final first.
Okay, I've got Montreal 38, Toronto 27.
You're taking the home team.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to say that Toronto turns the tables on last year and wins in Montreal. I think the same thing's going to happen to Montreal that kind of happened to Toronto last year. Hot regular season, had to play a bunch of kind of meaningless games late in the season, and maybe as a result are going to drop off in intensity. If Justin Lawrence hears this, he's going to be really upset. But I'm going to take Toronto 31-21 over the Alouettes. West final. I'll go first for this one. Come on, everybody. Who does everybody think I'm picking? After years of talking about Zach Collaros. I've been enjoying Zach Collaros in the Canadian Football League for 10 years. Had him on my show several times. Love talking to the guy. I think he's a winner. I think Winnipeg still has the program there. I mean, look, quarterback play alone. Collaros versus Harris. There's no, that's not even a discussion. That's not even a discussion. It's in Winnipeg. I think they got one more division title in them. They're going to go to the Grey Cup for the 5th consecutive year. I am taking Winnipeg over Saskatchewan 24-16.
Ooh, low-scoring affair.
Oh, of course it's going to be low-scoring. It's going to be a grind, but Winnipeg will figure it out.
Although I agree with you in who the winner is going to be, I don't agree with you in the score. I think it's going to be close. I've got Winnipeg 34, Saskatchewan 31.
Oh, wow. That's dramatic, Jay.
Such is life.
Game-winning field goal? Game-winning. Well, you're taking pictures of them, too. I also wrote them down, even though I made Zach write them down. And, it's recorded. Well, don't throw it out. Keep it.
Zach.
We have a YouTube video that I could go back and look at.
Unless you're making origami.
Paper airplane.
I don't know why that made me think of origami. That's a weird day today.
That's amazing.
This is a weird day.
All right. People can send in their predictions as well. With the scores, we got to do it. And we'll do a big Grey Cup prediction show next, a week from today will be next Friday. Matt Hyman says, how many touchdowns and field goals? Any Rouges? Oh, there'll be Rouges. Hey, did you watch the Thursday Nighter?
Oh.
What was it? Sin and Ball?
Yeah, Sin Ball.
That sounds like the name of a club in Vegas, the Sin and Ball. Anyway.
Sounds like a 90s movie with Sinbad.
And
Sinball.
And I don't know who the ball would be.
No, it'd be Sinball. It'd be like he opened up his own basketball league.
Oh, I see. Okay. So I went out for snacks last night. So I went to Brewster. So it was on. So I was sort of following it. And then I went and grabbed some groceries after. So I got home.
Cold snacks?
The first play I watched. No, I had a fish and chip. Well, no. So I didn't have one fry. I had fish and chips, but I only had one piece of fish. Because two's too much. It fills me up.
How big are these pieces of fish?
I don't know, like this big. I don't know how hard it's a regular size breaded piece of fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tartar sauce?
Oh, yeah, I love tartar sauce. I even dip the fries in tartar sauce.
Yeah, you got to.
So the first play I saw when I got home was the 70-yard long bomb to Jamar Chase. When he got to the end zone, he skirted along the goal line. Did you like that? I didn't like that. And there was no need to waste time in that situation. He was mad because of something Lamar did on the previous play.
Which I don't understand.
Which didn't seem that bad to me, what he did.
No, it didn't. And I don't know that. I guess it's not illegal to do that.
No,
right? You can't necessarily call a delay of game because nobody was really coming after him.
No, he didn't. But you risk. I don't know. Not that they do anything. But you risk maybe, somebody's just going to go take a shot at him or start to tackle him, and then he dives into the end zone and then gets hit late or something.
Well, it ultimately could have hurt them because they were the ones that were going down for the last drive.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Like, you got to think about what might happen at the end, and what if they'd come 6 seconds short in the end? That's about how long he skirted along the goal line.
Yes.
He had a big night, which we'll talk about.
I don't want to talk about
Fired up in a few minutes. No, we're gonna talk about it. But again, at the end of the game, Is it just me, or maybe it's just because you and I have been talking about it, but even Al Michaels brought it up on the broadcast last night about he said it seems like every week in some game, there are missed calls that are really affecting the game. I mean, on the 2-point convert on the side away from the ball, I believe that's the weak side of the play.
Yes.
If I can use the terminology. Baltimore just tackled one of the Cincinnati receivers. So it should have been holding, which would have been, half the distance to the goal. And you go again. And which was that the play Burrow got hit in the face mask?
No,
too?
that was earlier.
That was earlier.
Thankfully, they for Bengals fans, they converted eventually and ended up scoring that. But earlier in the drive, I think it was a third down too, that he got slapped in the face, and clearly his face mask was grabbed.
Right.
And then, it's just, you know what? I don't know how to remedy that either, because it seems to be happening where to quarterbacks, to the player that, the head judge is watching. The guy in the white hat behind the quarterback, that's his job.
He only watches the quarterback.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are going to be missed calls. I don't expect the refs to be perfect, but those late in the game. And what is the fine line? I think most people don't want 50-50 calls made. And the way the NHL, at least Oilers games, are being reffed this year, there aren't 50-50 calls. I mean, there aren't a lot of power plays in the games. I know Hyman talked yesterday that maybe they aren't drawing enough penalties. But then what's the line for what people want called? Do you want a brush of the face mask being considered a blow to the head on a quarterback?
Well, you cannot hit the quarterback in the head with any part of of your hand, of your foot, anything.
Right.
You cannot, slap the quarterback in the helmet. That is supposed to be a penalty.
But the ref...
it was just a bad angle because he was coming down in front where the head ref will not see.
Right.
Probably the judge that was behind by the linebackers couldn't see because there were linemen in the way.
No, but that was the 2-point convert. He got hit twice in the face mask on that drive.
Oh?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he got it on the 2-point convert as well, and it wasn't called. So, I'm just watching it on the replay here. And then, the tight end on the other side basically just got tackled before he even had the ball. I don't know. Do we get into this whole thing? Do you want everything reviewable, everything challengeable? Do you want to always stop the game for video review? Do you want something that doesn't affect the play called? But we've seen this a few times in the NFL, and now it's totally different. And this is one of the things, I don't know how long it's been going on now, probably 10-ish years, maybe not quite. Every network has the rules guy watching the games. And to me, I had my top technological innovations in broadcasting in terms of analysis, adding that person to the booth. So sometimes they're at the game, or sometimes they might be in New York watching a bunch of games on TV, and the game that needs him brings it in. But having a rules official or a former ref or a former rules person watching the games and offering that instant analysis, that's been the best ever, right? Because then the commentators say, oh, geez, I think that's a penalty. Let's go to this guy. Oh, hey, guys, 2 years ago that would have been a penalty. Don't forget they changed the rule. It's Rule 13 subsection F, or saying like last night, that's a missed call. That's a missed call. That should have been, I mean, I'm sure the colleagues that the guy used to work with maybe is the people they'd know the guys on the field working the games. But from a viewer perspective, I think that's one of the best additions in terms of watching sports in recent years.
Yes, I agree, but you can't just have every time that there's a missed call that they buzz down and say, oh, we've got face masking on this. You know what I mean? Whereas once the alternate views or one of the 80 cameras, high-def cameras that are shooting these games comes out, because you could call a penalty on every play. You really could.
Well, probably in football. You'd probably find something.
You could.
I just think that having that, I'm just talking more from a viewer standpoint, having that analyst in the booth to actually say that is a rule that should have been enforced or not enforced, I think that's a really good ad.
Yep.
Maybe it doesn't make the officials feel great, but it is pretty good. All right. Oilers in Vancouver tomorrow. I think we'll get a few submissions in the off-topic topic presented by William Huff. Since 1952, William Huff has provided industry-leading graphics with design, print, and install, all in-house for thousands of valued clients. Their unparalleled customer service, combined with decades of industry expertise and a desire to make every job the very best it can be, is what they call the William Huff Advantage. Visit their website at williamhuff.com or give them a shout at 780-454-4536. First meeting in the regular season for the Oilers and Canucks since last spring's epic 7-game series, which was certainly contested on the ice and contested between the two fan bases. And the Canucks fans are not popular with Oilers fans. A lot of Canucks fans weren't popular with me because they chose to be trolls on Overtime Open Line throughout the length of the postseason. So along those lines, I want you to tell us your most hated Canucks player of all time. Of all time. Going back to the early days of the Canucks. Maybe you want to go back to the 1982 team that made a miracle run to the Stanley Cup final before being beaten by the New York Islanders. You know, maybe Kurt Fraser's on your list. Maybe it's Thomas Gradin. Or maybe it's somebody of more recent vintage. So give us your most hated Canucks player of all time. And why?
Well, I mean, to me, and we talk about these things, and I was scratching my head trying to find one that would be maybe different or, I don't know, outside the box. But I kept coming back to the same name over and over and over just because of how darn good he was. And he was so good with the Maple Leafs, and then he came to Vancouver, and he was so good there, and that's Matt Sundin. He's probably the most likable guy in NHL history.
Right.
I just hate him.
So you're hating somebody more for his offensive prowess.
Because of how good he was.
Right. I don't think that that's the spirit of the submissions we're going to get from the Nasties.
I don't
if
think
you understand
so.
What I mean.
Jason Leduc says who was probably my second guy here was Kessler.
Yeah, Fish Tank has put in 2, Kessler and Bieksa. Charlie says Bieksa. I think Charlie's one of our Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners as well.
Guess who Tube Socks said?
Who
does he always guess for the mystery?
Tony Tanti. Tony Tanti. Yes. That's a good one. Tony Tanti, Stan Schmiel. I guess I'm going to say most of these players will have played for the Canucks this century or even in the last 20 years.
And you?
That's a good question because when the Canucks played the Bruins in the Stanley Cup final, I will not cheer for the Boston Bruins. I will not cheer for the Boston Bruins. So by default, I would have preferred if Vancouver would have won that series. I didn't hate the Sedins because they were awesome players and they weren't like cheese balls or dirt. So I understand why they weren't popular with Oilers fans. Like I know a lot of Oilers fans didn't like the Sedins, but they went out and got points and were very, very good. I tend to hate the guys or just like the guys who are a little dirty or a little cheesy.
Well, here's a name that comes in, Michael Karsmaker and Jasmine. They say Alex Burrows.
Oh, Burrows. Yeah, he'd be on a lot of lists.
A lot of Kesslers, a lot of Sedin sisters.
I mean, no one's said Miller yet?
No.
Really? Like off the current team, I'd put out JT Miller because he's quite cheeky, to say the least, and he can beat you on the scoreboard as well.
Waddy and Cloverdale, most hated Canuck, Messier. Hated seeing him in that uniform, and they hated having him.
That's the odd thing about Messier's career. That was not a good part of his career. Anyway, your most hated Canuck player of all time. Well, assuming player, unless somebody wants to put like Roger Nielsen on the list. Pat Quinn coached there. Also coached here. 780-218-9999. And into the nasty chat. Give us a thumbs up if you are observing the program or consuming the program on YouTube as we try to get to 100 every show. We're going to have Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show in about 20 minutes because I do think this story with junior hockey and the NCAA is really important, and I want to understand it a little better, and I'm guessing maybe some of you guys do as well. We also have a very interesting edition of Fired Up after the break, but first we got a sports update with Zach Kubusch.
Tanner Jeannot will have a hearing after illegally hitting Brock Besser to the head at center ice last night. Jeannot received a match penalty after delivering the blow to Besser, who did not return to the game. It's the Red Wings taking on the Maple Leafs with Matthews hitting the IR while the Golden Knights face the Kraken. The Pens duke it out with the Capitals, and the Ducks meet with the Wild. The Grey Cup will be hosted in Calgary for the first time since 2019, when the CFL championship game comes back in 2026. And in the NFL, Brian Robinson is out this week for the Commanders when they kick off against the Steelers. And it's Toronto's Raptors rookie guard Jacoby Walter re-spraining his AC joint, and he'll be held out at least a week before he gets re-evaluated. Right after the break, the Reid Wilkins Show with Milne returns. I'm Zachary Kubusch, keeping you up to date.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Food Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store, or use the code EST when shopping online at foodsausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Food Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Don't feel like working? Join the Hangout. You never know what you might hear. Weekday mornings 9 to 11 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
I think I move around too much. I'm too animated.
No. Here's what you do.
I'm antsy and squirmy.
I told my wife about this. She said, put it higher. It seems to be lower, drooping down. Yeah.
With my poppy, because it's fallen off twice.
Well,
in
you're
the first
double
20 minutes.
stitching there. You're going through two layers.
Doesn't that help?
No.
What did I do?
You went through about 4
Doesn't
different
that help
folds.
seal it in?
I don't know. You're thinking friction helps. I get it. I think that's oh boy. Oh my gosh.
Try that. I got it higher up now.
Does anybody in the office have earrings? Because that's the way to do it. Is you put a
Wear it
backing
in
of
your
an
ear?
No, you put a backing of an earring
Oh, I see.
and slide it on there.
Yeah. Anyway, I lost my poppy. It's back. Hey, how are you doing, everybody? Hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. Our off-topic topic is your most hated Canuck of all time for William Huff. What else is coming in?
Well, Michelle R. In the EST inbox, definitely Todd Bertuzzi.
Oh,
And,
right.
Dudley says the same.
Yeah, we got a Bertuzzi from Mitchie R. Or is it Mitchier?
Yeah, that's Michelle R.
Oh, that's the same thing. Sorry.
I think so. Kessler, no question. That comes in from Trevor and Erdry. I mean, the Kessler thing, I think, also goes over to when he played in Anaheim, right? Mm-hmm. And lifted the pad of the Oilers goaltender.
Yeah, he's not a popular player in general.
Unless he played for the Oilers. Then they'd love him.
Well, they would love that part of his career.
Yeah.
Well, Zach Cassian was a Canuck when he did that to Gagne. Remember? Broke the jaw.
Yeah.
With the stick swing and then mocked him the next time they played. Well, what's this? pointing to the jaw shield. Yeah. Spency 5 Centsy. Kessler's up there, but for Ducks-related reasons. Yeah, fair enough. VR says Donald Brashear. Wow, that's interesting. All right. 780-218-9999. Big showdown tomorrow between the Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks. Yes, there's finally a JT Miller as well. Because the current guy, I would go straight to JT Miller for a current guy. He is a
when
pain.
I think of Miller with the Canucks, I think of Ryan Miller.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I despised him.
Oh, did you?
He was a rat-looking little guy, and just the scrawniest dude, but he stonewalled you.
How long did Ryan Miller wasn't there that long, was he?
Sure he was.
Ryan Miller was 3 years with Vancouver. Yeah, most of his best years were with the Buffalo, and then he was with Anaheim at the end.
Yeah.
But yes, Ryan Miller. Would you describe him as sort of being a little gawky? Is that the thing? Like he's this string bean type of guy?
Yeah. You're just a guy you'd look at and you're like, ugh, I don't like
and he always looked like he was really sweaty.
Yeah. Greasy.
Gawky. Nervously awkward and ungainly. Yeah, I guess he wasn't nervous.
Okay,
but
so you now are tasked with making a limerick during the show that includes the word gawky.
Yeah, I can do that.
I know you can.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Remember last year during the playoffs, what did Bieksa say? He took a shot at Edmonton media for something. He's like, I don't call them the Edmonton media, I call them the Edmonton meat because they're dead and dumb or something like that. And I was just like, okay, Bieksa, good for you.
Yeah, that was a weird one, considering he is part of the media.
Yeah, but he was, I don't even know who specifically he meant. If he meant everybody, then whatever. That was kind of a weird thing to say. I've never talked to him, and I never plan to, especially after that.
Let's try to get him on the show.
No.
Andrew says, I always disliked Naslund. I felt whenever he played the Oil, he lit them up. Yeah?
Marcus Naslund, yep. Now Fish Tank is sending in greatest NHL look. We'll have to save that for another day, Fish Tank. That's a good idea. All right, keep them coming. Your most hated Canuck of all time and why, if you can. 780-218-9999. It is time to get fired up for Gemco Fireplaces, proudly serving Edmonton and area for 45 years, the authorized dealer for Napoleon Fireplaces. Whether it's gas or wood burning, look no further than Canadian-made Napoleon Fireplaces. All the Napoleon products you need are available at Gemco, 9281 50th Street. I'm going first. Can you please, for the people viewing, Zach, can you put up the image that I sent you earlier today? So it is not unusual for Jay and I to text each other over the course of a day or in preparation for the show. And we were doing so this morning, confirming some stuff, reminding each other of some things, extending well wishes and blessings, all that kind of stuff. And then with nothing else in the message, no other context, we hadn't been talking about the NFL or playoffs or anything. He sends me a picture. A discussion point. The picture is that's Lamar Jackson, isn't it? But it says, should the NFL bring back the third and fourth place game between the AFC and NFC championship losers? Why would you possibly send me that? Why would you possibly on Friday, November 8th, be thinking about an NFL third place game, which, by the way, they haven't had since 1969. They called it the Playoff Bowl. Where is that from? Who is possibly discussing this? Who is possibly in the middle of the season saying there should be, let's face it, a Who Cares Cup? What is the appeal of a third place game in the National Football League? Who posted that? Why is this a discussion point? And why would you send it to me unprompted?
One, I just want more football. If I can get one extra game, sign me up. Hello. I have no idea who that was.
Was somebody here?
Who is that, Zach? I don't know. Does anybody know? Okay. Who is that?
The contest winner. Everything's good.
All right, fine. Secondly, I thought it was funny that they pictured Lamar Jackson in the picture while asking about the loser of the AFC Championship game. So those are my two main points. You, on the other hand, decided to take it and turn it into something totally different.
That's not even something to talk about.
We're talking about it now.
Okay, because I'm fired up about it being a non-story. Well, nobody in the universe wants a bronze medal game in pro sports. Nobody. Would the players want to play it?
No.
If you lost the Canada West semifinal when you were playing football, one more game, Jay, you're going to play for third.
No.
Who's talking about this? Literally nobody. Who made that graphic?
I'll find out.
Yeah, well, you didn't even know where it came from. There's not a story accompanying it. It's not like something players are suggesting.
How do you know?
Should the NFL bring back the third and fourth place game between the AFC and NFC championship losers? There wasn't even an AFC and an NFC the last time they had it because it was still NFL and AFL. It was 1969. This is not something people are clamoring for. This is like me saying, should we bring back? I don't know. Should we bring back baseball players not using gloves on defense? You know, like should
Keep going.
Should we bring back AstroTurf? Like nobody's talking about this, and nobody would ever want to see this game played.
I think people would want to see it.
No, they wouldn't.
Sure, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
What? Yeah, they would. If it was your team or the team you despised most, forcing them to play another game. Now, there'd have to be money involved in this for the players.
Okay, but even then, so why have that expense? Why have that expense?
To find out who finishes third.
And who cares who finishes third? It's not
Draft
the Olympics.
Draft picks care.
Okay, so if you were an NFL draft pick, you'd want to go to the third place team over the fourth place team. That would be the deal breaker.
It's a load different of money. Big difference between a third overall and fourth overall.
This is never going to happen. There will never be a bronze medal game in the NFL or in any pro sport.
I think it's fine, but obviously you don't want that game. You don't want anything to do with it, and I'm fine with that. I just simply brought it up as I thought it might be a speaking point.
Well, it certainly was.
Yes,
it's like it's the worst. It's one of the worst ideas I have heard in my life. It'd be like, hey, Reid, step on this scorpion or watch the third place game. I might choose the scorpion.
I just think it's it's fantastic. It's going to get another home game for a team. There's so many positives that can come out of it. I think it far exceeds the negatives. But everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Oh my God! All right, what are you fired up about?
Okay, I'm fired up because I was the guy that everybody was making fun of last night on social media. I was the guy that I'm facing a team in fantasy football that has Jamar Chase on it. And Jamar Chase went off. He lit up the Baltimore secondary to the tune of 11 receptions for 264 yards and 3 touchdowns. Do you know what that means as far as a fantasy score? 61.4 points for one player. I'm screwed. One player, like a good score on a normal week is 130. You're usually going to win. He almost got half that in one game. One player. I'm screwed, and I'm battling for a playoff spot.
Well, maybe somebody on your team will have comparable numbers, or
Okay.
maybe everybody else on the other guy's team will fail.
Okay, riddle me this.
You got to hope for that, Jay. There's always hope.
Which one of these schleps is going to have a 61.4 game? Because okay. CD Lamb, Xavier Worthy.
Yeah, him.
That's it. That's the only 2 receivers I'm starting.
Oh, no, the other guy, Lamb, is good. Sorry. I thought you were reading guys on his team that could fail.
CD Lamb's capable of doing it, but will he? I don't know. You're laughing.
Sorry.
You know,
I'm laughing at Easy EST merch idea. F third place, Reid Wilkins. So when the Oilers lost the West Final to Colorado, you would have wanted to see them play the Rangers.
Well, that's a good point. Buster says, other than the, or no, it's just your average Canadian says. So you win the third place, then in the draft you get the pick behind the fourth team. How great!
Okay, you know what? If you want to talk about this, you know what would be more interesting than a third place game? Let's use the NHL as an example. That the bottom 6 teams or something have a tournament for the number 1 seed or the number 1 draft pick, and the winning team gets the draft pick. That would be more interesting than a third place game.
Came off of a terrible text that I sent you.
As usual, I have to have a good idea. So now I got to fix Canada West.
Hey, it's not the Jay Milne show with Reid Wilkins, okay?
Now I got to fix. Now I got to have an idea about losing teams playing each other. Wouldn't that have been crazy, though? So just imagine that for a second. I know we got Guy coming up, who is going to talk about a very important and serious topic.
I like that idea.
So say McDavid's the number 1 pick, and the bottom 6 teams in the league are in the tournament for the number 1 overall draft pick. So teams would be trying to finish in the bottom 6, but have the best team. So a team that was the team in last place might load up at the deadline, so they would have a better chance of winning the tournament.
Wow. So it'd be a bracket, like the worst team would play the 6th worst team.
Or however they would do it, or there'd be a bye.
Yeah.
But Buster makes a good point. That's dumb as well, since anybody on the bottom 6 teams that's a UFA or RFA wouldn't want to play. Yeah. There's no perfect thing for that.
Hey.
I actually think, though, I mean, they've got the draft lottery. I think the number 1 draft pick should go to the best non-playoff team. So you reward somebody who's good but just missed out, and then it's harder for teams to tank, so to speak.
Well, let's look at fantasy. That's usually what they do. They have like the loser bracket and the the money bracket.
Yeah.
But the loser brackets, all the losers, still compete for the first overall pick.
Right, but that's fantasy sports.
Reid, it's life.
Okay.
God.
780-218-9999 to text in and jump into the nasty chat, which seems to be enjoying this topic as well. What's the impact here of this new agreement between the NCAA and the CHL? How is this going to affect a team like the Oil Kings and maybe some AJHL teams too? Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show is coming up to explain it. First, the Kube with the sports update.
The NHL sees 4 games, starting with the Red Wings and the Leafs having Austin Matthews heading to the injury reserve before the Penguins face the Capitals. The Golden Knights meet the Kraken, and the Wild battle the Ducks. And in the WHL, the Edmonton Oil Kings hit the ice with Gavin McKenna's Medicine Hat Tigers for 8 games total around the league. Down south, Brian Robinson is out this week for the Commanders when they take on the Steelers. Elsewhere, Raptors rookie Jacoby Walters will be out at least a week after re-spraining his AC joint, with the NBA having a dozen games today, including the Celtics, tipping off with the Knicks. This sports update has been brought to you by Paramount Flooring. Proudly family-owned and operated for 33 years, Paramount Flooring is your full-service flooring and tile supplier. Whether you're a homeowner, renovator, or builder, Paramount Flooring provides the flooring to fit your lifestyle and budget. Visit their showroom that's open 7 days a week at 10707 184th Street. Paramount Flooring. Flooring for the life that you live. And we got a quick timeout before Guy Flaming joins Reid Wilkins and Jay Milne. I'm Zachary Kubusch for your sports update.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of Injury Law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com. CFLSports.com.
The grand opening sale at Sit and Sleep is almost over. This is your last chance to take advantage of the special introductory sale prices on all mattresses. Stop in today for a free pressure point scan using cutting-edge technology so sleepologists can identify the perfect mattress for you. Right now, get free local delivery on any mattress over $7.99 and receive a free bamboo cooling mattress protector. Enjoy grand opening savings with every mattress on sale. Join us on location today for the final celebrations at Sit and Sleep in South Common next to Planet Fitness. Don't miss out. The grand opening sale ends soon.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website, edmontonsportstalk.com.
All right, hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. Portions of this hour are presented by the Canadian Brew House. UFC lives at the Canadian Brew House with the most TVs and big screens, great food and drinks, and the perfect party atmosphere. There's no better way to experience UFC 309 on November 16th. See you at the Brew. We will talk a little CFL Division Finals, more on the Oilers as we move along.
There's a lot of people that would like to see this game, Reid. Derek says, it's never a bad thing to be innovative and think of new ideas, Jay.
That's true. It doesn't mean they're all good. And by the way, he didn't say the game was a good idea. He just said it's good to have ideas.
You know, he may have said other things. I'm just leaving them out.
That's great. All right. Thank you for going through Fired Up with us, everybody. So here's the deal. We got an agreement, new terms, I guess, with the Canadian Hockey League and the NCAA. No better person to discuss that by a friend of Edmonton Sports Talk from the Pipeline Show. It's Guy Flaming. Guy, you're on with Reid and Jay. How are you doing?
Check. Mic working?
We got you. Yes. Thank you for checking right off the top. We appreciate that. Hey,
better start.
Yeah, I want to dive right in, and you're the perfect guy to talk about this. And I was going to try to summarize it, but I thought I'll mess it up, so I'll leave it to Guy. Can you summarize the story here? What has changed or is changing?
Yeah, basically, CHL players are now eligible to play NCAA Division I hockey, not Division III, just only Division I, which is the top tier. So that's cut and dry the big change there, because it's always been a contentious thing that, you know, you play a game in the CHL and suddenly you're considered to be a professional athlete by the NCAA, which I think everybody has kind of looked at and thought, well, that's kind of stupid. Well, they agree now. So, and really from their perspective, it's to get away from, there's some lawsuits headed their way and this will take care of all of that. So rather than lose in court, they're taking it upon themselves to do away with that archaic rule.
Okay, so I'll use a player as an example, and this is the first player for me that comes to mind.
Okay.
Because he's one of the best players in the NHL, and that's Cale Makar, who played for the Brooks Bandits in the AJHL. He did not play Major Junior, and he's gone on to become an NHL star.
Right.
If Cale Makar is currently 17, 18 years old, how, if at all, could this affect his trajectory through junior or college?
Well, he would still have the choice whether he wants to start out playing in, say that it was the AJHL back then, or he could play for whichever team owned his WHL rights, which I don't remember off the top of my head. It might have been Lethbridge, might have been Calgary. Anyway, he would have had the choice to play for in the Western Hockey League and then go to college if he so desired. The tricky part now is the NCAA is going to want those best players as soon as they're done in high school, whereas the WHL is used to having guys go to college after their 20-year-old season. So that's going to be the sticky point now. I think a lot of people are expecting the CHL will gain a lot of really talented 16, 17-year-olds. They're going to start losing some key guys, though, after they've graduated high school. The NCAA is not going to say, well, we only want your 20-year-olds that don't sign pro deals. Let's get Gavin McKenna. Let's get Landon DuPont. So that's going to be the issue now.
Okay, so again, to use a couple players, so the Oil Kings from a couple years ago that were awesome.
Sure.
So Gunther gets drafted. What was Gunther? 9th overall. Neighbors was a little later, but still in the first round. Like, they might have not finished as Oil Kings, and they might have been enticed by an NCAA team.
They would have had the option. However, if they get signed by the NHL team right after the draft, which happens quite a bit with the first round picks, they're not eligible.
Okay.
You sign a pro contract, you're a professional athlete, you're not eligible. So maybe we see NHL teams not sign their first round picks immediately and consider, well, maybe that guy would be better off playing college hockey against 20 to 24-year-olds rather than another year or two in the NCAA or in the WHL. Don't know how that will play out. I could make a pretty good argument that they don't need to do that. That's what I like about the CHL compared to a league like the USHL. That is what happens in the USHL. Guys get drafted and they're gone the next year. The USHL is really good 16 and 17-year-olds. The 18, 19, and 20-year-olds that are in that league are just okay. That's completely different with the CHL. You got guys like Grayson Sauchin right now with the Edmonton Oil Kings. If he was in the USHL, he'd be gone 2 years ago. So I don't want to see the CHL become the USHL.
Okay, and I think that's the concern, Guy, and I know I got a couple messages this afternoon, like, from people saying, how does this help the CHL? Like, isn't just the NCAA getting what they want? What does this really do for the CHL?
Well, the good part for the CHL is you're going to get Cale Makar. You're going to get Macklin Celebrini. You're going to get Owen Power for at least 2 years. And then that's what happens. But is 2 years of those guys better than no year? I think you would argue yes. But on the other side, if you lose them at 19 or 18, 19, 20, and that becomes a more of a norm, I don't know that that's a good thing in the long run. If I'm an NHL team, listen, some guys don't want to play college hockey. They're going to get drafted. They've chosen the CHL because they don't have an interest in going that route. Those guys will still be in the league. So if I'm an NHL team and I've got a prospect playing as a 19-year-old in the WHL, do I want other 19-year-olds in that league with him to help him become a better player, better competition, better teammates? Or am I okay with half those guys going to the NCAA? I would think the NHL would want to protect the CHL to some degree as well, but I don't know how you do that.
Okay, so then the other question for this is, and as you know, I worked in Lloyd for several years, so I covered the AJHL. How does this help that level of junior hockey? Now, if they don't get the Bakars of the world, and plus there's all this stuff that just happened with the BCHL doing its own thing and some Alberta teams joining, what's the fallout for that level of hockey?
Yeah, I don't think it helps. I don't know that there's an upside for Junior A in Canada or the USHL or the North American Hockey League in the States. The BCHL, I think, will also have some difficult waters to navigate over the next year or two. Those leagues will survive. There's also this new agreement between the Western Hockey League and the four. You've got AJHL, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, and the SIJHL, which is like in part of Manitoba, part of Ontario. Junior A, anyway, where they're sharing players back and forth a little bit more freely. It's opened up roster space on the WHL for more 15-year-olds. They can play more games now, but guys can go back and forth between the leagues a little bit differently. So a team like, say, like the Lloyd Bobcats, they might get some players back from the WHL that normally they wouldn't. So there's some cushion that way, some support that way. But I think in the long run, this will affect Junior A in Canada.
Okay.
Guy Flaming joining us here from the Pipeline Show. I wanted to ask about CIS players specifically, because now I know throughout U Sports, I say CIS still, but throughout U Sports, you'll see basketball players that'll play a year or two at a school and then they'll bounce down to the U.S. because there's this thing down there called NIL, name, image, and likeness, where you can receive quite a bit of dough for your services as an athlete. Do you think this will harm in any way U Sport athletes and the possibility of them transferring down to the NCAA as well?
I am told that NIL is only available to Americans. So if you're a Canadian, it's not going to benefit you to do that for NIL. So it won't be a financial reason why guys will leave. If they're in U Sport now, if you're going south of the border, it's probably just to get more exposure at a different program. Like, if you're Trevor Wong playing in Saskatchewan, do you say, maybe if I go play at Boston University or Denver or North Dakota, does that give me a little bit more exposure where I can potentially sign a better pro contract when my schooling is done? That would be the only thing. They don't have the advantage of NIL.
Okay.
Well, you do hear of players, though, from the likes of a Boston College or a Boston University that will come out and they'll be going to the NHL as well. I understand that CIS players are, especially in Canada West anyways, are usually retired WHL or older WHL players. But, is that something that is going to hurt? Because now you're going to have the trickle-down effect. And is Canada West hockey going to be as strong as it always has been?
I would suspect not. I would suspect some of those players that do go to U Sports will entertain the option of going to the NCAA, assuming they can qualify academically, which if they can get into U Sports, I'm guessing that they can probably get into Division I as well, depending on the academic institution. But I would have to think that U Sports will feel a pinch here as well. Will they still get players? I would have to think there's going to be a lot of junior A players who currently don't get opportunities because of all the WHL graduates that head that way. So there'll be different doors opening for those guys, but will the quality of play still be the same? Probably not. But U Sports has really strong coaching. They'll get the best of their players. It'll still be entertaining hockey. But yes, I would expect that it will be different.
Okay. Wow. All right. A lot of potential fault. Thanks for explaining that very clearly, Guy. You're a true pro. Thanks for outlining that.
My biggest concern is like a team like the Edmonton Oil Kings. Grayson Souchin is signed by Florida, so he's got one more year of eligibility left. He's not going to be coming back to the WHL because he's signed. He'll be in the American Hockey League next year or the NHL. Okay, that's fine. But a guy like Gavin Hodnett's got 2 years of eligibility left, not drafted. What if an NCAA school approaches him? Take it a step further. Blake Fiddler is going to be a first-round pick this summer. He's an American. What's preventing an NCAA team from saying, hey, Blake, come play for us for a year or two and move to the NHL from there, where you're going to be playing against men as opposed to 17, 19-year-olds.
Right.
That's my concern.
Yeah, okay. That's a good way to outline it and a good way for using names of players that are on the team. Oil Kings do play Medicine Hat tonight. Just to shift to get a question or two in here about the dub.
Sure.
Are the Tigers not doing as well at 9-8 as maybe we thought at the start of the year?
Yeah, a little sluggish. They haven't had Caden Lindstrom with them all season. I think he's still injured from Columbus Blue Jackets training camp. But yes, they have not hit the when the rubber meets the road. They haven't been firing on all cylinders just yet. Gavin McKenna, who is their star player, he's leading the league in scoring, but I don't think he had a point in the first 5 games of the year, maybe an assist or something like that. So it took him a little while. They made a big acquisition, picking up a goaltender named Harrison Menigan from the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Really good goalie, drafted by Tampa in the 7th round. But even he seems like his numbers aren't blowing anybody out of the water right now. But he was the best goalie in the conference last year. I think it just takes a little time. They should be good. Maybe that's a case of we're going to get to the playoffs. Let's just turn it on when we get to the playoffs. I don't think that's usually a situation for junior hockey, but maybe. I think the Tigers will be fine. But yeah, it's been a bit of a strange, unexpected, slowish start for Medicine Hat.
Okay. Give the next Pipeline Show a plug here for us, buddy.
Sure. It should be out momentarily for podcast listeners, but it'll be tomorrow on Edmonton Sports Talk. You'll have Scott Wheeler from The Athletic talking a lot about, he's got brand new rankings for the draft, as well as thoughts on the CHL NCAA stuff. Sean Hogan is the executive director of College Hockey Inc. Obviously knows the new landscape of junior and college hockey really well. And Peyton Kettle's big 6'5" defenseman with the Swift Current Broncos on the show as well.
Okay, awesome. Guy, you're the best. Easy E putting in the nasty chat. Very articulate and informative.
Oh, hey.
Exactly why we
Nice.
wanted to have you on. Thanks for explaining what can be a bit of a complicated issue with the CHL and then the NCAA. Hey, Pipeline Show, of course, continues to excel. You do such a great job, man. And we'll have you on the show again very soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Great. Always. Anytime.
Right on. Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show, a very good friend of Edmonton Sports Talk. So, good explanation, good summary. There's certainly a wait and see element to it. I don't think Guy was saying this is definitely going to happen or let's light our hair on fire, but everything. But it seems to me, if we're talking NCAA, CHL, Junior A, and U Sports, NCAA is the winner.
Yes.
Yeah, right.
Pretty clear.
Because now they have access to more players. Now, but as he said, it may not necessarily mean they all go, or if you're already drafted, have signed an ELC, that can change your eligibility. Yeah, it does worry me about the Junior A level, because I still care about that level, and we've seen some pretty big changes in Alberta in the last 8 months.
I think it's going to affect that bottom tier the most, because everybody, there's another league opening up its doors to players, so that's going to cycle through, and eventually that will hurt the quality of play in the AJ and the like. One thing here, that nil topic, they will be changing that. That is already in the works of being changed, where Canadians can benefit from that, because they haven't been able to. Zach Edey was one of the most prolific basketball players in NCAA history, not able to get nil money.
Okay, to play, and I feel like I'm pushing back with you on everything today. But is a Canadian hockey player going to have that opportunity?
Yeah,
in the States to earn what some of those guys are making through that?
It doesn't matter. It's not a comparative, but it is an opportunity.
Okay,
especially at those bigger hockey schools where that is the main game. At a Boston college, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Minnesota, like where these big hockey schools, there's substantial nil money.
Caper Boy says it won't affect the CHL. I guess the thing I would say, Caper Boy, is the way Guy explained it with a player like Blake Fiddler, who we've had on the show. So he's going to be a first-round draft pick. Before he signs his ELC, he goes and plays in the NCAA, right? And then he, as an 18 and 19-year-old, he can play against 18 to 22-year-olds as opposed to playing against 17 and 18-year-olds. And maybe that helps him develop better for the NHL. I think that's why it might benefit a player like that to go south of the border, right? Because now the NCAA might be closer to almost the American Hockey League in some ways in terms of its level of talent. So I don't know, just something to remember. It's an important story. I'm glad Guy outlined it, and I think we'll see a lot of things shake down over the next couple of years. All right, 4 o'clock. We got to call a quick timeout, and then we'll have the Cube with the sports update.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com. selfstorage.com.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
The Canadian Ice House is taking your sports experience to a higher level. Trackman golf simulators are now open at the Ice House, an immersive and realistic golfing experience in the heart of downtown Edmonton. Visit in-store or at thecanadianicehouse.com for details.
GCL Diesel has been serving oil country since 1972. From diesel cars to SUVs to pickups. From farm tractors to school buses to a big rig. From diesel generators to forklifts, GCL can test, troubleshoot, and repair all diesel fuel system components. Whether it's injectors, pumps, turbos, filters, or additive, GCL has the parts you need to keep your diesel running the way it should. For genuine diesel parts at wholesale prices, visit GCL Diesel in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel. Diesel understood.
Hockey has the Kraken facing the Golden Knights, the Ducks battling the Wild, the Capitals meeting the Penguins, and the Leafs with Matthews heading to the IR as Toronto gets set for puck drop against the Red Wings. And over in basketball, the 76ers play the Lakers for one of 13 games on the schedule, while it's the Raptors without rookie Jacoby Myers for at least a week due to respraining his AC joint, which is something that's bothered him since training camp. The Raptors are back on the court tomorrow, and the CFL divisional finals also go down tomorrow with the Argos visiting the Alouettes in Montreal and the Riders playing the Blue Bombers. The NFL sees Brian Robinson out for a week for the Commanders when they kick off against the Steelers. The Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne continues right now. I'm Zachary Kubusch, keeping you up to date.
Thank you, Coop. Great job with the sports update here in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Visit them at jameshbrown.com today and book your private consultation. We love having Guy Flaming from the Pipeline Show on this program, and Guy's such an awesome guy. He's jumped into the nasty chat and is answering people's questions about this CHL NCAA agreement. That's what I love about the nasty chat too. It just kind of takes on a life of his own. So Guy's clarifying some things. Somebody was asking about merging the NCAA and U Sports. I don't think that would ever happen.
Not across all, sports.
No. What was it Simon Fraser that plays in the NAIA?
Yeah.
And the football team came to Canada West for a while, and now they're
Yeah, we played against Simon Fraser.
Right. Well, Marty Kipps from Woodminster went there. Yeah.
And they were okay. They weren't blowing the socks off of everyone. But NAIA is not even NCAA.
No.
It's not even NCAA Div 3.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, no, thank you. They could not compete.
Again, you put it in there too. Hockey might be the only sport where you could kind of make it make sense. But even then, U sports athletes, hockey players would still, I think even with these changes, would still generally be older than NCAA
look at the Canada West with the deal with the WHL.
Yes.
You're getting your school for free after you play. Every year you play dub, you get a year of schooling at a U sports school.
Right.
So it would totally change the landscape of hockey here too, if that was merged.
I don't think that they would ever merge. I don't know if that would be. What did Guy said something about it, didn't he?
He said he floated the idea recently and did not get the feedback that suggested that would make sense.
Okay. Well, the other sports, it would be if you wouldn't even go there.
No.
Right. Like why it just wouldn't work for anybody. So yeah, I appreciate people getting the questions. So I don't know if Guy has a bunch of time to spend in there, but he's helping people out with some of the talk as well. I'm really glad we had him on because he clarified that way better than I could have. So that was really good. 780-218-9999. By the way, if you want to text the show, our off-topic topic is your most hated Canuck of all time. I said player, but somebody put Coca Lynn, not a player, but I find Rick Tocchet annoying. After the Canucks lost the playoffs, I thought the next statue they erect outside the Canucks arena would be a bust of Tocchet rolling his eyes.
What about, I mean, if we're
That's
going
pretty funny.
outside of players, we got to include the Green Men.
Oh,
Those
yes.
guys were annoying.
Yeah, enough's enough.
Yeah. Move on.
Like, put some real clothes on.
Get a new shtick and quit wagging your you-know-what's in front of everybody.
Yeah, enough. We don't need to see that.
I certainly don't.
Oilers at Vancouver tomorrow. It's time for the Oil Understood, presented by GCL Diesel, providers of the best diesel engine components around. From turbochargers to ejectors, fuel pumps to sensors, they are the critical engine component experts, proud to serve Edmonton and Northern Alberta for over 50 years, now a proud partner of Edmonton Sports Talk and the Reid Wilkins Show. GCL Diesel. Diesel. Understood. All right. So we talked a lot about the Oilers yesterday and what is ailing them or has ailed them for most of the season. Good stuff from Luke Gazdic. I talked a lot about concentration and detail, and Luke kind of said, like, they know what they are supposed to do. They're just either not doing it or forgetting to do it or not bearing down, whatever you want to call it. I really like the story he told about when he was in the NHL or playing pro hockey, and they would practice sort of back-checking type drills at the end of practice when you are tired. And when you're tired, it's not just your body that gets a little tired, sometimes the brain as well. And as he said, skate fast back through the neutral zone. Protect the house. What did he call it? 5 on a die. Yeah. So imagine the 5 on a die, and imagine that collapsing in front of a defensive net and then sort it out. And that's the one thing, because the way I asked Luke, I said, if somebody's coming down the middle of the ice unchecked, it really doesn't matter if it's your man or not. Somebody should go tie him up. So he's saying if everybody gets back and takes up that area, a person's not going to be open to get that shot away like we saw, or if the Oilers are skating back harder through the neutral zone, players aren't even going to be open to try those shots to begin with. So, pretty frustrating first, what are we at now? 14 games for the Oilers. They went 5-5-1 in October. They are 1-2 in November. I think frustrating for me too, Jay, is the way they played. So they had a bad game in Columbus. They had a good game in Nashville, and I thought they still had a pretty good game in Calgary. I know Calgary kind of, asserted themselves as the game went on, but the Oilers did enough to get the win. And then you come out and get shut up by the Devils, and then you lose at Vegas. So you've won 2 in a row. You give them right back. You're below 500 again, and they have 10 games left in the month of November.
Well, let's see here. I mean, is there a stretch here where you think they can rattle off, let's say, 3 of
4 is pretty modest. I mean,
let's say 4 of 6. I think there is.
We'll see.
Yeah, I think there is. I think they can. Okay, so I feel like they're going to come out and compete. I don't know. Saturday night in Vancouver is usually a good game for the Oilers, just in recent years, anyhow.
All right.
I think against next week at home against the Islanders and then the Predators, I think they're going to go 1-1. I think they're going to drop one of those. Not sure which one.
So you got the gut feel of a win tomorrow.
Yes.
I do not.
Good.
But here's the thing. I don't really have the gut feel of a loss either. I'm just sort of thinking I have no idea how this team is going to play.
Yeah.
I think they can play well, and to be fair, they have played well this season. I would say 3 of their wins, for sure they played well, both in Nashville, and they dominated Pittsburgh. That's also a product of Pittsburgh being unable to beat the Oilers for, 5 years now. I do think the win over Calgary was still a good win. I thought they played well against Carolina. I mean, they lost in overtime. That game could have went in either way. They woke up against Philadelphia as the game went along. So there have been some decent moments in there, but there hasn't been a stretch of games. And that's it's the consistency to me and the gap that is between how they're playing and their potential. And as I always say, you can't make the standard perfection, but have they it'd be nice if they could play a 10-game stretch here in November, the remaining games in November, where they play almost the same way every night, and they're at or near their standard every night. And even if they went 6-3-1, you'd say, okay, well, first of all, 13 out of 20 points is a pretty good pace. But if you said, okay, they kind of were repeating an effort and meeting their same standards every night, even if they lost, maybe you have a 3-2 loss somewhere where you don't get a break or the puck doesn't go in, but you look at it and say, okay, you know what? Pretty even, pretty good. Like, by even, I don't mean even with the other team. I just mean that their execution is kind of steady throughout an entire game. And that's the thing about the Vegas game. They didn't get beat on forcing Vegas to make a couple spectacular plays. They got beat because of their own negligence. Nuge takes a penalty he doesn't have to take. Arvidsson, the things I talked about with Luke yesterday, Arvidsson turns over the puck in the neutral zone. Vegas goes the other way. The Oilers are slow getting back. A 2-on-4, what should have been a 2-on-4, and amounts to a wide open shot from Hanifin. If they could, if you lose a game and you don't give up a lot of grade A chances, but maybe a point shot goes in or a tip goes in or there's a bounce, okay, that's going to happen. But that's not how they're losing games. And I said that yesterday. This is a team that repeatedly over the years has been guilty of a lot of self-inflicted wounds. So I'd like to see a 10-game stretch, as they were in the playoffs most of the time. I know the intensity is way higher, but it's like if they're losing a game, they're getting beat. Like the other team has to do something special to win that game. So that's what I'd like to see the rest of the month. And if they do that, then they should win 6 of the remaining 10.
Okay. You said you'd like to see that.
Yes.
Is this team, with the schedule that's ahead of them for the rest of this month, capable of it?
Well, fatigue shouldn't be a problem. They only have one back-to-back. So you got Vancouver on the road. You got Tuesday, Thursday home games, Islanders and Nashville. The road trip, the 16th through the 19th, is 3 and 4. Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa. Montreal's not a good team. Ottawa's not having Ottawa's a game below 500, just like the Oilers. Actually, the Leafs are only 2 games over 500.
Well, that's what that Eastern swing where they go out and do the Canadian Eastern teams. Is that maybe a spot you could look to as a jumping off point to put together a 3-4 game win streak?
Well, I think it has to start Saturday. Like they
right,
can't
okay.
keep. I understand why you pick those games because you get away for a while and you're playing other Canadian.
Well, and 2 of the 3 teams
are
clearly weaker,
right?
In Ottawa and Montreal.
The best team they play the rest of this month, by the way, as of the standings right now, is the Minnesota Wild.
Well, and the Wild whenever they come here,
769 points percentage. And they got Colorado later. Colorado's only at 429.
Well, they play New York, the Rangers.
They're good. They're 708 points percentage. So I just at some point, and I know Speck wrote an article today that was pretty critical. Like we're all talking about sort of consistency and finding your game, and it's not a Stanley Cup hangover. I was never big on that to begin with. And by the way, the Florida Panthers are one of the best teams in the league. They're 10-3-1, right? So if they're fine. They also played until June 24th, right? They also went to the very end. Now I know they got an uplifting ending instead of a downer ending, but it hasn't affected them at all. So that's not a problem for the Oilers. And as much as we talk about roster changes for the Oilers, they shouldn't be this disjointed. They've all played NHL games. And as I've repeatedly said, some of the biggest culprits in playing below their potential are the players who were here last year or who have been here for a while. Nugent Hopkins, Bouchard, even McDavid's point production to some extent, though I know he's still around a point a game. Draisaitl's had a couple big games. He's had a couple games, quite frankly, where he's looked a little out of it. And his body language wasn't great. And I get that to an extent. I don't... players have emotions. I think an angry Leon can also be a very good Leon, but we've seen a couple games here where a sulky Leon didn't appear to be that good. So, it's not just because Arvidsson is new, though he's underperforming, or Podkolzin is new, as I've criticized some things about Podkolzin. It's not the new guys who have come in and messed it up. Where are these guys we're used to seeing being consistent and productive? Anyway.
No, it's a fair point. I mean, but I still think if I'm looking at this and handing losses where I think they could be in trouble, but you could still say they could go 6-4 the rest of this month. I mean, that's be an improvement on what they're at.
Well, I think they almost. I mean, at some point you got to bank some points.
Yeah.
So I always think if you get to 92 points, you'll have a shot at the playoffs, not knowing what the cut line is every year. So you got to play 10 games over 500. Right now, they're 1 game under. So to have the minimum point total that I think you need to be in the playoff discussion, you got to go 11 games over 500 the rest of the way. So you got to start banking those points. So at the very least, you have to be 2 games over 500 every month the rest of the way, which is not world beating and is not comfortably in a playoff spot. But something has to start rolling where you feel, okay, they got some momentum. Even in the games maybe they don't win, they were right in it. They were right there. They were a difficult out for other teams. That's what I'm saying. What are you laughing at? This post in the nasty chat?
No, I just think it's funny because Dave in Section T says, I'm kind of bored of all the Oiler talk. Heading to Clare Drake tonight for a Bears versus Griffins game. Who should I watch for? Also,
Chagall.
I do most of my pre-gaming at mostly legal tailgate events, going to Rat for the first time in decades.
Oh, wow.
He says the statute of limitations has expired. Do they serve food up there? Our olden days tables were always covered in pitchers. Yes, they serve food.
Yeah, I haven't been to Rat for quite a while because sometimes I would go after I did the basketball when they still played at the main gym. But yeah, I think you can get snackies there.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Great Chagall, spot. Right?
Chagall was the guy we had on the show. I mean, they got a lot of good players. They obviously should beat McEwen. But Chagall, remember, it's spelled Tschigirl. Is that how it's spelled?
Yes. Wow.
Highland is good. Highland can really shoot the puck. They got Mason Ward on defense. That's Lance Ward's son. I'm probably missing some good players. The Hall brothers are always fun to watch. I'm missing some of the guys. They got some good firepower on the Bears team this year. Absolutely.
And old school nasty. This comes back to our off-topic topic. Absolutely, hands down, Ryan Kessler, complete piece of garbage.
Jeez.
I remember back before the Vancouver Olympics, he went on a rant about how Canadians are just a little brother of the U.S. and how they're going to kick Canada's ass in hockey. It made it all that much sweeter when Skid scored the golden goal. Big Slam Nasty. The worst Canuck is 2009 to 2011 Ryan Kessler. Nothing like a Saturday night in Edmonton when it's minus 30 and Vancouver comes into town, kicks the ever-living crap out of you, and is on a plane before we can pick ourselves up.
All right, that is the off-topic topic for William Huff, your most hated Canuck of all time. Big games in the CFL tomorrow, and also big news. Calgary gets the Grey Cup in 2026. John Hodge from 3 Down Nation will dive into that. But first, we got the Kube with the sports update.
There's 4 games in the NHL with Austin Matthews out for the Maple Leafs when they battle the Detroit Red Wings. And after that, it's the Penguins facing the Capitals, the Kraken matching up with the Golden Knights, and the Ducks meeting with the Wild. The Oilers get back at it tomorrow with the Canucks out in Vancouver. And down in Medicine Hat tonight, the Edmonton Oil Kings have puck drop with Gavin McKenna and his Tigers for 8 games around the league. NFL injuries have Brian Robinson out for the Commanders this week when they take on the Steelers. Elsewhere, the Celtics tip off with the Knicks, having 13 total games in the association, with the Raptors reporting that rookie Jacoby Walter will be sidelined for at least a week after re-spraining his AC joint. This sports update has been brought to you by Wheelers RV and Boat Storage. Conveniently located 8 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheelers RV is your safe and secure place to store your RV, boat, or whatever it is you want to store. Visit them at wheelersrvstorage.com to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 free. Go to wheelersrvstorage.com today and get your storage needs taken care of. Just a quick timeout, and John Hodge from 3 Down Nation joins the Reid Wilkins Show. I'm Zachary Kubusch, keeping you in the loop.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Fly Away to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for two, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
This is your chance to win big with the Split the Pot Lottery. Support the Capital Care Foundation to help Alberta seniors get the care they deserve and support more healthcare foundations across the province. With a grand prize that grows with every ticket sold, the jackpot is hundreds of thousands and just keeps getting bigger. Visit splitthepot.ca and buy your tickets now. Don't forget to pick Capital Care Foundation as your foundation of choice. Lottery license number 698984.
If you've been injured in a car collision, let James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, protect your interests. They'll be there every step of the way to help answer your questions and help you get your life back on track. Trust Alberta's precedent-setting injury lawyers with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, call James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta Injury Lawyers, 780-428-0088, or go to jameshbrown.com.
Gallo LLP is an Alberta-based accounting firm with expert chartered professional accountants in both our Edmonton and Sherwood Park accounting firms. Our experienced and innovative accountants provide financial advice that saves our clients money. Simply put, we help our clients protect their assets and grow their businesses. At Gallo LLP, they go beyond the numbers to ensure the continued success of your business. Reach out to Preet or John to discuss how they can help your business grow. Visit gallollp.ca today and see how they can help you take your business to the next level.
Yeah, good to hear. We got people going to Claire Drake tonight for Golden Bears hockey, Pandas and Golden Bears basketball at the Saville Center. We had both those head coaches on throughout the week. It starts with the Pandas at 6, Bears to follow as they're playing the Dinos. 5 o'clock tip for the Pandas tomorrow, and then the Bears after that. 780-218-9999 is how you text the show. The Nasty Chat going along on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. We're a little behind our usual pace today. I think people are a little I don't know, distracted on a Friday, a little maybe tuckered out on a Friday afternoon. You got to have the energy to hit the thumbs up or text your friends and neighbors. Tell them to hit the thumbs up. We got to get to 100 for sure. All right. We are in the James H. Brown studio. James H. Brown Personal Injury Law Firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Check him out at jameshbrown.com. Book your private consultation today. Big weekend in the Canadian Football League. The Grey Cup combatants will be decided. Pleased to be joined by John Hodge from 3 Down Nation. John, you're on with Jay and Reid. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'll start with the question about the Grey Cup being awarded today, and then I'll hand it over to Jay. I don't know how if you're as concerned about this, but we kind of thought in Edmonton we're getting it in 2026. You know, we got big old Commonwealth Stadium, and we got the new owner, and maybe the team won't stink by then. But it goes to Calgary, and nobody really speaks kindly of McMahon Stadium. You know, what's your view from outside of this market?
Well, it was a surprise, right? I mean, those were the two markets that had reportedly made bids for the 2026 Grey Cup. And I think in a perfect world, the CFL probably would have gone east for this Grey Cup. Obviously, Vancouver hosting this year, Winnipeg hosting next year. But, I mean, the Toronto Argonauts don't have a president currently. The Ottawa Red Blacks are tearing down half of their facility and rebuilding it over the next 5 years. You've got a situation in Montreal where there is no building, right? You can't host it at Percival Molson Stadium. It's too small. And then the Big O is always on the ticket for Quebec taxpayers for massive rebuild. And then Hamilton just had it, right? So I think out west, you know, makes sense. But I'm in agreement with you guys. I'm surprised because Larry Thompson just bought the Edmonton Elks. Typically, This is a league where new ownership gets awarded with a Grey Cup relatively quickly. Obviously, Amar Dolman bought the BC Lions just over 3 years ago. He's hosting the Grey Cup this year. So Edmonton with a new owner, a better facility, you'd think that they would have been the choice. They weren't. Now, maybe it's possible. I talked to the city of Edmonton about 6 weeks ago. Maybe the goal is for Commonwealth to get some upgrades over the next few years, and then possibly, 2020, let's call it 28, right? They have a refurbished Commonwealth and we have a great Grey Cup there. But regardless, 2026, we'll see you in Cowtown.
Well, John, let's get into these divisional finals. We'll start in the West where, you got Winnipeg and Saskatchewan. Winnipeg boasting the best pass secondary in the CFL. Saskatchewan has the best turnover ratio in the CFL. This seems to be a battle of the defenses. Who do you think is going to come out on top of the defensive battle, and why?
It's a great question. These teams played 3 times in the regular season. Ironically, the Riders won the only game where they didn't have Trevor Harris at the helm. Shea Patterson won 19-9 for them at Mosaic Stadium, and the Riders feasted on takeaways in that game. There was a key fumble late in the game from Nick Dembski, stripped by Jameer Thurman. And I think that is the path for Saskatchewan to get a win on Saturday. If they are going to advance their first Grey Cup since 2013, they are going to have to get a strip at some point. They are going to have to pick off Zach Collaros at some point, because if they don't do that, I think this game is going to play out the same way that the Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowl did, which is Winnipeg is going to be able to move the ball through the air. I think Brady Oliveira against a league-best Saskatchewan run defense is going to be more of a weapon out of the backfield as a receiver, more so than maybe the power back that we used to see him as. But regardless, the Labor Day Classic, Winnipeg won that game largely because Mario Alford muffed a punt. Winnipeg got a turnover touchdown there with Noah Hallett recovering in the end zone for Winnipeg. And the Banjo Bowl, Trevor Harris turned the ball over twice. So I do think this game is going to come down to turnovers. I'm not expecting a big day for Brady Oliveira along the ground. The team that I think makes the fewest mistakes with the football will win and advance to the Grey Cup at Vancouver.
Now, obviously, the game's being played in Winnipeg. I don't know if it's a sellout there yet or not, but how much of an advantage do you think that is, having the ability to play in front of your home fans for Winnipeg as opposed to Saskatchewan? Everybody knows about the fans and how they can get behind there, but Winnipeg has I think they're leading the league in filling the seats. So do you think that there's an advantage to having them play at home? And is that going to really hurt the Rough Riders in this game?
Yeah, Winnipeg has the best home field advantage in the CFL right now, period. They've led the CFL in attendance the last 3 years. They never did, by the way, from the founding of the club in 1930 to 2021. They never once led the league in attendance, Edmonton leading a bunch of those years. Saskatchewan led almost every year from maybe 2006 until 2021. Winnipeg's led the last 3 years. They did not sell out the West Final in 21 and 22. Came close. Last year, they sold it out, and they've already sold it out again this year. 32,343 fans at Princess Auto Stadium. It is a tremendous advantage, and I want to give Saskatchewan credit. I covered the Banjo Bowl, as I have covered the last 3 West Finals for the Blue Bombers. The Riders handled the noise really well at Banjo Bowl. That game was insanely loud. It was coming off the game where Miles Brown illegally hit Zach Collaros up high, knocked him out of that Labor Day game just before halftime. So Bomber fans extremely upset. I'll also say this for context for your listeners, for your viewers. The crowds at Banjo Bowls, I've been to every Banjo Bowl since the game was first played 20 years ago. The crowds typically in the early days were a solid 10 to 20% green, and that green has dissipated certainly over the last few years. The crowd at Banjo Bowl, I would say, was at least 95% blue. I'm anticipating the West Final will be the same. Sure, there'll be fans who make the trip, which is great. It's a great rivalry. It's wonderful that fans make the trip, but this will be a Blue Bombers crowd, and it is a tremendous advantage. Again, the Riders handled the noise really well. There were no illegal procedure penalties. They handled it well, but it is a very tough environment to play in, and I think if this game was in Regina, they would certainly be favored for this one. Instead, Winnipeg -4.5 for this game as the host team.
Well, being that you're in Winnipeg, and obviously they support very well there, is there the thought process of buying out all the tickets, or is there an allotment left for Rough Riders fans? How does that work?
If you want to get to the game, you buy a ticket. That's all I know. I mean, obviously the Riders didn't know they'd be coming until last week when they beat BC in the West semifinal. But I know there's an allotment that's kept for players, which is true for the regular season as well. Each player gets a certain number of tickets. But I mean, for Rider fans, if you want to get a seat to the West final, presumably you had to buy it a couple weeks ago because the game's been sold out for a couple weeks. And then if the Riders make it, you go. And if you don't, if the Riders don't make it, then presumably you can sell it on the secondary market or put it up for verified resale. But I don't know. I mean, and I should also say, there's lots of Rider fans who live in Winnipeg, just like there are Rider fans who live full-time in Calgary, full-time in Edmonton. Some of the people you'll see wearing green at the West Final will be full-time Winnipeggers. But people making the trip from Regina probably had to rely on the secondary market to get those seats.
Well, yeah, we always see the they live amongst you billboards that come up in Edmonton from the Riders. Now let's hop over to the East Final. It'd be fair to say that I guess a lot of I guess the thought would be that Toronto's the hot team right now. Toronto's playing pretty good football. They finished the season quite well. But I look at that Montreal team that's coached by Jason Moss. They've been there before. They've done it. What are your thoughts on this Eastern Division Final?
To me, the Toronto Argonauts have been the best team in the CFL for a solid 6-8 weeks at this point. If you really want to nitpick, there are things in their secondary that are a little shaky. Benji Franklin, their boundary corner, likes to gamble a little bit. The right side of their offensive line struggled last week. Anthony Vandal in his first year as a starter at right guard. Shy of that, this team is almost beyond reproach. Janarian Grant, absolutely sensational game breaker as a returner. Liram Hairelahu, as reliable as anybody in the kicking game. Chad Kelly had 2 incompletions last week and 5 total touchdowns. When you've got more than double the touchdowns as you have incompletions, I mean, that's unbelievable. Mackay Polk, rookie receiver, might be the best deep threat in the CFL right now. Kadeem Carey, excellent running the ball. And then their defensive front 6 is probably the best in the CFL. I mean, Winton McManus, Falarin Arimalade, Jake Serezna, rookie Ralph Hawley. Like, these are all guys who have been making sensational plays. And I appreciate that the Alouettes are the reigning champs. But, I mean, the Argonauts have made now 4 straight East finals and, of course, won the Grey Cup in 2022, upsetting the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. So I see them. I know they're actually plus 2.5 in this game. I'm more than happy to take them and the points. The Alouettes, on the other hand, there are things to like. I mean, Walter Fletcher is a great receiver out of the backfield. Cody Fajardo has generally made good decisions with the football over the second half of the season. They don't run the ball particularly well. Cody Fajardo doesn't push the ball down the field tremendously well. They've really missed Tyson Philpott, who is a potential MOP candidate at the midway point of the season before suffering an injury that's held him out for the rest of the year. And defensively, they're still a solid unit, but I do think that the shine has come off that defense a little bit. The last time we saw this team play was, of course, that infamous wind gust game against Winnipeg in week 21. They had Winnipeg on the ropes, but they lost that game. And guys, this is a team that's only won 2 of their last 7, right? They started the season red hot. Since then, not so much. Toronto winning 4 of 5. So I do think there's something to be said for the vet savvy of Montreal. Let's also remember, last year's playoffs, nobody gave him a chance in the East Final going into Toronto to play a 16-2 Argos team. Not only did they win, they kicked the snot out of the Boatmen. So I don't think anybody should be writing them off, but I fully appreciate why people like myself, a lot of them, are counting on the Argos to get it done on Saturday.
Are you part of the those air horns are extremely annoying crowd as myself and Reid are?
To me, there's only 2 groups. There's sanity and insanity. And the sane people agree that the horns are annoying. Yes. If you're not in that group, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not sure you're sane. There might be some sociopathic tendencies because the horns are obnoxious.
Yes. Okay. Well, John Hodge from 3 Down Nation, thanks for joining us. Hey, where can people find you? Because I love the content that you guys put out.
Yeah, everything that I write is on 3downnation.com. We've got daily news on the CFL, minimum 6 articles a day, sometimes upwards of 10, 15, 20. And then if you can follow me on social media at John D. Hodge on Twitter or john.d.hodge on Instagram. Though admittedly, I'm not the best at posting on my Instagram, but I'm getting better all the time.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Thanks for taking time to hop on the Reid Wilkins Show. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Anytime.
Yeah, I'm glad he gave those stats about the Alouettes. And that's kind of what I feel. Sometimes these teams that burst out of the gate and then don't have anything to play for down the stretch, it doesn't go well in the postseason. And I think Toronto just feels a little more primed to get the win. They were the 16-2 team that got upset last year. We know about a 16-2 Edmonton team that didn't make it out of the West Final in 1989. Of course, they're excellent teams. But, I just think Toronto is playing better right now. And I'm sticking with Winnipeg at home. Collaros is better than Harris, and he'll get the win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm starting to maybe question my my Montreal pick.
Don't question yourself, Jay.
But here's the thing.
Believe in it.
Here's the thing, is that I know Jason Moss, as a coach, he will get those guys ready to go. It's a different atmosphere playing there at Percival Molson Stadium. So, who knows? I guess anything can happen. But I would say, and I would agree, that Toronto is the hot team entering that game.
All right, portions of this hour presented by the Canadian Brew House. The NHL lives at the Canadian Brew House. Every Oilers game day, get $1 off tankards of Molson Canadian and Coors Light. You can win game ticks and 2 tickets to a surf and turf dinner at the end of the season. Full details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. Remember to hit that thumbs up button on YouTube. Help us to keep our streak alive of getting to 100 every show. And I wrote a limerick. I did your challenge already using the word gawky. I'll read that when we get back. We got our daily limerick from the Big Uke. We're going to be buying and selling for Damon Bunting when we get back. We're going to be talking some football. We're also going to be joined by a local author in studio. Matt Hoven is an associate professor of sport and religion at St. Joseph's College at the U of A. He's written a book about Father David Bauer, which has some pretty special stuff going on around it. And we're going to try to figure out who is exactly Tom Gazzola, because we got a bit of a mystery there as well. But first, we got the Cube with the sports update.
On tap tonight, it's the Red Wings facing off with the Maple Leafs as Austin Matthews goes to the injury reserve. Later, it's the Penguins and Capitals before the Golden Knights play the Kraken and the Wild battle the Ducks. And from Vancouver, it's the Oilers hitting the ice with the Canucks tomorrow. Saturday also sees the CFL Division Finals having the Riders against the Blue Bombers and the Argos kicking off with the Alouettes to decide who makes it to the Grey Cup. On schedule, the NBA's got the Celtics tipping off with the Nets, the Bucks going at it with the Knicks, while Denver holds host to Miami for 13 games around the association. This sports update has been brought to you by Sit and Sleep. The wait is over. Sit and Sleep is now open. Celebrate with 20,000 square feet of savings on the trendiest furniture, home decor, and mattresses. Apply for your Sit and Sleep card today to make no payments for 18 months, interest-free. Sit and Sleep. Find them beside Planet Fitness in South Edmonton Common or check them out online at sitandsleep.ca. The Reid Wilkins Show returns after a quick timeout. I'm Zachary Kubusch with your sports update.
Conveniently located 10 minutes west of St. Albert, Wheeler's RV Storage will provide you with safe, secure storage for your RV, boat, or whatever you need to store. Open 7 days a week with gated keypad access and extra large stalls. Now is the time to take advantage of their limited time offer. Buy 6 months and get 1 month free. Now's the time to go to WheelersRVStorage.com. That's Wheeler's RV Storage. Safe, secure storage. Visit them today at WheelersRVStorage.com.
780 is just another lame-ass, low-budget local shop. Homegrown right here in Edmonton. 780 is both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 1,000 local vendors, from the 780 to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online at 780.com or at any of their 5 locations at Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport.
Fuge Sausages makes their meat with nothing but the best local ingredients. From chicken, beef, and pork, their gluten-free sausages are packed with flavor. Every single bite. Get a 10% discount when mentioning Edmonton Sports Talk in-store or use the code EST when shopping online at fugesausages.ca. Plus, you get free delivery on orders of $100 or more. Find them at 6736 99th Street. Fuge Sausages. You can't beat our meat.
At Mind 360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind 360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind 360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
I'm running in circles with the hopes that I will find what I'm searching for, but the question is where.
All right, always happy to hear from the Big Uke, emailing Reid at EdmontonSportsTalk.com with his limerick of the day. Thursday night football, one hell of a game. Playing for third, just lame. Oilers game tomorrow, please don't end in sorrow. If Glue Guy's team comes back, he will get great fame. Wow, what? That is awesome. Working things together we talked about in the first hour of the show. Jay challenged me to write a limerick using the word gawky after I called former Canucks goaltender Ryan Miller gawky. So here we go. Canucks goalies? Ryan Miller was gawky. Luongo could get hotter than souvlaki. King Richard and Felix could rock you like Helix. John Garrett was the size of a jockey.
Wow, that is
remember
very
King Richard?
impressive.
Richard Brodeur?
Keep that music going.
Yeah, Jay's got one too, Coop. We're limericking it up. We're limericking it up. That's hard to say.
It's Friday afternoon, and the vibes are high. The crew is fired up as the weekend is nigh. Oilers take on the Nucks. Lankinen will see plenty of pucks. After the fired up segment, I let out a big old sigh.
That's pretty good. All right. Give us the thumbs up on YouTube, everybody. A little worried about our streak today, trying to get to 100. I think we're a little bit behind pace. Help us out. Get your friends and neighbors involved for sure. As we are taking you through the final hour and 15 minutes of the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. Of course, you can consume it on YouTube, on the TuneIn app, on the iHeartRadio app as well, and look for it in the podcast section of your local supermarket. All right, it is time for buying or selling for Damon Bunting, a consistent top-producing realtor in Greater Edmonton and among Western Canadian RE/MAX realtors. He and his team would love to help you find that right home or make the move from your current home. Community-driven, he understands what it takes to make a difference in our city. Check him out, DamonBunting.com, or the Instagram handle of Damon Bunting Real Estate. I'm going to throw some buying or selling topics at Jay Milne. The Grey Cup awarded to the city of Calgary for 2026.
I think it's Calgary.
Calgary? Calgary.
Calgary.
What's the most common pronunciation of Calgary?
Calgary.
Calgary?
Calgary.
Yeah. I've noticed sometimes when people say Edmonton, they leave the D out. I don't know if they're just saying it too fast, but it sounds like Edmonton. No, it's not Edmonton. It's Edmonton. You don't have to overpronounce it, but it's got to be there. Edmonton.
I find the second syllable to be emphasized too much. Edmonton.
Who does that?
I've heard it.
I always find when you hear usually, an American say Saskatchewan, they overpronounce it. Saskatchewan instead of just like Saskatchewan.
Yes. Or Newfoundland. We could go on.
We could go on. We could do all 11 provinces, everybody.
Ottawa.
Yes, I know how many provinces there are. I just like throwing that out there to annoy people. Buying or selling, the Grey Cup should always be played indoors.
Selling. I will never take that away. I mean, if it happens, it happens. I mean, what are the options? There's really only one option for an indoor Grey Cup, which would be BC Place.
Yeah, well, you could have it in Skydome maybe if they thought people would go.
Maybe, or I guess.
Well, I know it's not called Skydome anymore. What's it called? Rogers Center.
Something like that. No, because you know that's part of the lore of the CFL is the snowy Grey Cup. Shania Twain coming out on skis to perform at halftime, or was it? No, she had a sled dog set up or something.
I think the sled dogs pulled her in,
but
yeah.
I think the sled dogs were like men, hunks, good-looking men, weren't they?
Was it?
I think
we got to find that. Where was this? This wasn't the Edmonton one.
Yeah, wasn't it?
I don't know. Shania Twain. She's done the Grey Cup twice, has she not? Did she not do list of Grey Cup halftime shows?
It was
Wikipedia.
Dogs. It was dogs.
It was actual husky dogs.
There was a hunk mushing though.
Shania Twain performed in 2002. That was here. And in 2017, that was in Ottawa. So it was the Ottawa one, wasn't it? Or was it the one in 2002 here? I didn't think so. When did Shania Twain come out?
This is in 2017.
Okay, so it's 2017 in Ottawa. She was pulled in by the sled dogs.
Your favorite.
I believe
Shania
I
Twain.
believe to get them started, she said, "Let's go, girls." It was all female sled dogs. And instead of saying mush, she said, "Let's go, girls." And they pulled her. That's how they got the sled started.
That's too good, Reid.
Yes.
That's why you get paid the big bucks,
Thank you,
my friend.
Yeah, and why I listened to far too much Shania Twain. Well, that song. That's a great song.
I like the weather playing a role. That is a piece of Canadiana that I don't want to give up. Unless it happens to go to BC Place, right? Like this year, then that's fine. But in general, I'd say I'm selling.
You're fine with the elements. Okay. Buying or selling. The Grey Cup should be hosted by the team with the best record. So in other words, we wouldn't know where the Grey Cup was going to be until after these games were played.
No, selling. Because once again, one of the best parts about the Grey Cup is the week or the days leading up to it with the festivals and the spirit of Edmonton and the breakfasts and all the libations and all the fun stuff happens before the game and the build up to it. I just think it would be a lot because those do take a lot of planning. And I mean, the planning for all the festivities in BC have been going on for, probably over a year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it would take away too much, Reid, if you just offered it to the team with the best record. You don't
want it to feel just like another home game for them.
That's right.
You want the whole and the festival is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I've gone out and done stuff in Edmonton, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah. So don't take that away from us.
Buying or selling. NFL overtime should be a shootout like it is in college on both sides of the border and in the CFL. So by the shootout, I'm saying one team starts on the 35, the other team will then start on the 35, and whoever gets more points wins, as opposed to the NFL having a coin flip and a kickoff, and they have different rules in the regular season and in the playoffs, yada, yada, yada.
100% buying.
Okay, interesting.
Look at last night's game. Cincinnati went for the 2-point conversion because they just wanted to end it. Why? Because they figured, okay, if we go to a coin flip and the way the game was going, they give the ball to Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, well, they're going to go down and score. Look what happened in Kansas City. If there was a shootout where both teams get an opportunity to touch the ball, they're kicking that extra point 10 times out of 10 because they know that it's going to be a fair way to finish the game. And I still don't understand why they don't do that. I really don't.
I really liked how the overtime worked in the Super Bowl because it created a lot of drama with decision makings or possibilities. I think the regular season overtime in the NFL is quite silly. So if you score a touchdown on your first drive, you win. If you don't score a touchdown, the other team gets the ball. But they shortened it to 10 minutes. So it's still an advantage to win the coin flip. Not as much as when you could win with a field goal, I guess. But you could put together an 8-minute drive and get a field goal. Well, the other team gets the ball. You had 10 minutes, they're getting 2. You know, and I know you can say, well, defense is part of it and you got to get a stop. I get it. But having the ball, like we were talking about in our other discussion today about the other day about maybe someday a coach will never punt, having possession of the ball is the best thing you can have in football because that's how you got to score points. The Super Bowl was interesting to me because it did not end with playoff games do not end with a score on a touchdown on the first possession. I still think it's an advantage to win the coin flip and go first, but I was checking the game log today, you and me were. So San Francisco got the ball, drove down to the Kansas City 9 and had 4th and 4 and decided to kick a field goal, right?
Yeah.
So then Kansas City fields a kickoff, goes down and gets a touchdown and wins the game. And then then there's drama with Kansas City. If they would have had a 4th down inside the 10, do they try to just win it, or do they kick it and give San Francisco the ball? And if you think what San Francisco could have done, so say they go for it 4th and 4 from the 9 and throw an incomplete pass. So they haven't scored any points. They've given Kansas City the ball, but given Kansas City the ball on their own 9. So they still have to put together a good drive just to get a field goal to win the Super Bowl. So there's a lot more drama there with in a playoff game that can go on for as long as it has to. You know what I mean? But it's still an advantage to win the coin toss in the NFL. There's still too much on that.
Well, which begs to ask, why don't they bring this into the regular season?
Just try it in the regular season, have a shootout?
I mean, what's worse than watching two teams battle it out there? 38-38. They're going overtime. One, like Kansas City. Baker Mayfield never touched the ball. Right? Patrick Mahomes. And they take their time pushing it down the field. Scored a touchdown, game over. Like, it just is no justice in that. And then why do they then bring it in playoffs?
Well, because the New England won the Super Bowl
on that very rule.
And then at that time, it was sudden death. The touchdown won the game. And so Matt Ryan and the Falcons never got to have the ball, never got a response.
Yeah, but 100%. Why is that not implemented in the regular season?
Oh, I don't know. Like, it doesn't make sense to me that they have different overtime. And I guess you could say the NHL has different overtime rules, but they have 3-on-3 in 5 minutes. But hockey's different. And I guess maybe the problem is football is the sport that is least conducive to having a tiebreaker. Hockey is obvious. Next goal wins. And I know now you have a shootout, and they use 3-on-3 to more likely have a goal. But possession in hockey is determined by a face-off, so the players are determining it. Basketball, they play 5 minutes. Baseball, you still play the baseball has added the ghost runner, the runner on second base and extra innings in the regular season only. That's fine to keep the games maybe a little shorter, but it's still normal baseball, and the visiting team bats and then the home team bats. So football with the kickoff and potentially having sudden death without one team touching the ball, it isn't as conducive to a tie-breaking process. But I think this shootout format, both teams go, you could even say the 50 in the NFL because the kickers are so good.
Yeah,
so you got to drive half the field to get a touchdown. You probably have to get about 15 yards to increase your field goal percentage. So you'd have to at least get from the 50 to the 35. It's still exciting. There's still a sudden death play, right? There's either a sudden death play on offense or defense. I think it would just be better than having the coin flip play such a big part of it, which we see over and over again in the NFL.
Well, and to force a team to play by the rules all game, both teams have to play within the rules of the game.
Yeah.
Which is, fair, equal, equity, and then to only offer one team the ball in overtime.
Yeah.
If they go score, it just seems absurd to me.
Yeah, they've been doing it that way for years in the NFL. And I think I remember asking Warren Moon about this once, and I said, shouldn't both teams get the ball? And he's like, no, if you want to win, don't allow a touchdown. So there is that part of it. Good defensive play is important as well. But here's the thing. I think that in the NFL, no team would say, we'd prefer to lose the coin toss and go second in the current format. In the shootout format, you might say, Okay, well, we're still going to get to go. Maybe we would like to go first and try to get as many points as we can and put the pressure on the other team. Maybe we'd like to go second and see how many points we have to score. Under the current format, no one would want to say we want to lose the coin toss and not get the ball first. It's still an advantage to get the ball first. Because then even in the playoffs, then you're going third. You're still getting an extra possession to win the game.
I thought Kansas City was kind of surprised that San Francisco decided to take the ball first.
In the Super Bowl?
Yes. Because here's what happens. When you kick that field goal, well, now Kansas City knows what they have to do.
Yeah, and they did have a 4th and 1, remember? Mahomes ran to the outside and got it.
Yeah.
But see, here's the thing, though. But then if they both score an equal number of points, then it's true sudden death, and San Francisco has the ball on the third possession. So that's why I'm saying it's still an advantage to win the coin toss. Not as big an advantage, but still an advantage to win the coin toss in that situation.
But that advantage quickly goes away when they don't score a touchdown, being the San Francisco 49ers. I think now that puts a lot of pressure on your defense.
Yeah, then Kansas City knew they had to. Yeah. That was more fun in the playoffs, but they should change it to a shootout, at least in the regular season. Anyway, there. We solved everything, everybody.
Yeah.
We fixed everything, and there's still an hour left in the show, which means you have an hour to hit the thumbs up button on YouTube. We are, oh my God, we are on pace to hit 100, but just barely. We need a burst. We're like the Oilers. We need a burst. We need a bit of a surge to get some thumbs up in the bank. But hope you're having a great Friday afternoon. We're certainly having a fun program here. We're still going to have my top 3, which centers around a mystery concerning Tom Gazzola. And we have, standing by to join us, the author of the book, Hockey Priest, Father David Bauer and the Spirit of the Canadian Game. Local writer Matt Hoven's going to check in. It's the Reid Wilkins Show on Edmonton Sports Talk.
Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
UFC lives at the Canadian Brew House with the most TVs, great food and drinks, and the perfect party atmosphere. There's no better way to experience UFC 309 on November 16th.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret, unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
You've always known GCL Diesel as the experts in diesel fuel systems, but did you know that GCL is also your source for turbochargers and turbo repair? As a turbo supplier for Garrett, Borg Warner, and Holset, GCL can provide genuine original equipment turbos at wholesale prices. Whether it's diesel, gas, natural gas, or performance, we can provide you with the turbo or custom repair you require. Turbo questions? We've got turbo answers. Visit us in the West End or online at GCLDiesel.com. GCL Diesel, turbochargers, understood.
This is your chance to win big with the Split the Pot Lottery. Support the Capital Care Foundation to help Alberta seniors get the care they deserve and support more healthcare foundations across the province. With a grand prize that grows with every ticket sold, the jackpot is hundreds of thousands and just keeps getting bigger. Visit splitthepot.ca and buy your tickets now. Don't forget to pick Capital Care Foundation as your foundation of choice. Lottery license number 698984.
Underway in just a moment, the Red Wings battle the Maple Leafs as they head into the game without Austin Matthews. And later, it's the Penguins facing the Capitals, a Kraken matching with the Golden Knights, and the Ducks meeting with the Wild. The Oilers get back at it tomorrow with the Canucks over in Vancouver. And in Medicine Hat tonight, the Edmonton Oil Kings have puck drop with Gavin McKenna and his Tigers for 8 games around the league. NFL injuries have Brian Robinson out for the Commanders this week when they take on the Steelers. In the NBA sees 3 games going down in just a moment, having the Pacers with the Hornets, the Pelicans and Magic, as well as the Hawks tipping off with the Pistons. The Reid Wilkins Show continues right now as Matt Hoven, local author, joins Reid and Jay. I'm Zachary Kubusch for your sports update.
Oilers traveling to Vancouver today. Game tomorrow against the Canucks. It starts at 8. We will have coverage beginning at 7 with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. And then they will be on after the game as well, bringing analysis and your reaction. Will Oilers fans be smiling tomorrow night, or will it be another frustrating evening? Really pleased to be joined in studio by Matt Hoven, associate professor at St. Joseph's College at the U of A, and the author of this book. We'll kind of hold it up there. We'll have to tweet out a picture as well.
Super.
Matt Hoven, the book is Hockey Priest, Father David Bauer, and the Spirit of the Canadian Game. How are you doing, Matt?
Good. Really good, Jay. Jay, Reid.
Jay's
Good.
there. Yeah, that's okay.
People always get us mixed up.
We look very much alike.
You're twins,
No,
right?
it's okay.
Yeah, come on.
All right. I always ask an author this question first.
Okay.
What was the idea for this book? Where did it come from?
I had heard about Father Bauer when I was a kid. I loved Team Canada and Olympic hockey in about 1984, 1988. And it was always strange to me, why is the guy who was in charge of all this, why is he a priest? And what's going on? And then over the years, I teach in a course, and I thought, there's nothing really written about this guy. Like, there's this and that, but I'm like, there's not a book. And what is this national team and involvement at the Olympics that I just thought it's a great story. It's a great hockey story, and nobody's put it all together. So away I went.
Okay, how many years ago was that?
That was 8 years ago I started it. So the first trip to archives was 2017. I went to the Hockey Hall of Fame, and then Bauer was a member of the Basilian Fathers religious community, so went into their archives and went from there. So I was out in Vancouver at UBC and St. Mark's archives, down to Hockey Canada in Calgary, went to Wilcox in Saskatchewan, the National Archives in Canada in Ottawa. So just traveled around, interviewed people just to get a sense of this guy and what he was about.
All right, so a lot of mileage. On this. Was the information accessible? Did people have great? I mean, obviously, as an author, you got to verify everything and all that kind of stuff.
You know what? The folks in the hockey world were great. People wanted to talk about him. Players that had played for him wanted to tell his story. I think they felt like he wasn't well known enough for how important he was. And then in terms of the archives, it's. That was fine. Just there's things that you can find online about Bauer, but probably the neatest one was when I went to the Library and Archives of Canada in Ottawa. And so there, you're digging around files from 30, 40 years ago, 50 years ago about Hockey Canada. And even he had a run-in with a chief justice with the Supreme Court of Canada. And so these files had never been opened. So it was like, can I open these? And they're like, sure. So I'm digging in these and finding out the story about how, this kind of run-in and what had happened way back in 1980. So that was pretty cool.
Okay, so, and you mentioned sort of the seed from this, why is a priest so associated with Canadian hockey? And I mean, not that being a priest excludes you from liking sports or sports that can be violent at a time, but there might be like, well, wait a minute, how did he tell his players to go out there and
right? Right. Because you're thinking, shouldn't he be in the church or whatever? But so Bauer had an older brother named Bobby Bauer, and Bobby played for the Boston Bruins. So he was an all-star player there in the 1930s. So Bobby, he's in the Hall of Fame now, so he's the real deal. And so when he was coming up in the ranks, there was a gravitas with the name Bauer, and so he was coaching hockey. But part of it is that he kind of believed that there were different ways to play the game. Like at the time in the 50s and 60s, even into the 70s, hockey was super violent. right? Like with the fighting and the brawls and all this. And Bauer just thought that was nonsense. He wanted a game more about speed and passing, strong defense checking, and probably a lot more like the game we have today. He thought it was kind of hockey was going off the rails in a sense, and was like, we need to change it. So what he did was he established this national team. So he said, let's have a team that represents Canada internationally at the Olympics and World Championships. And so beforehand, you would have teams like the Trail Smoke Heaters representing, but instead they started this team and they went to the 1964 Winter Olympics. And from there on, they had this tradition of teams going and representing the country from people from across the country, which was a new idea at the time.
So it's like, that's amazing to hear that you just kind of assume, well, the national team's the best players, but the Edmonton Mercury's were a team.
That's another one.
Was it the Allen Cup champ for a while?
Yes, that's it. For senior hockey, if you won the Allen Cup, then it was assumed if you could raise enough money, you would go to senior hockey or you would go to the World Championships. The problem was that the Soviets and the Czechs and the Swedes were getting better and better, and we were losing. And of course, Canadians don't like to lose in hockey. Right. So how do we beat them? Bauer said, well, because you weren't allowed to use any players in the NHL, let's get the best players not there and we'll form a team. So Bauer's mentality when he'd go with teams was, we'll win by defense. So hard checking, hard forward check, kind of your standard talk these days, and pushing the limits that way. And then if they could just get a couple goal scorers, like in the 1980 team that went to Lake Placid, they had Glenn Anderson, right? And then also Randy Gregg played on that team. Randy Gregg also played on the 88 Olympic team too. So it's So
well, that's an interesting part, because you said archives and you've been digging through archives. Half the people listening are wondering, what's this archive he's talking about? But obviously through creating this and through the journey of finding out more, you would have interviewed people that were associated with him, former players. Who were some of those players that that you found meant the most to what you were trying to get done through this book?
There were a lot of there's a lot of them. A lot of them flood to my mind. The one right now that comes to mind is Brian Conacher. So Brian Conacher was a Toronto kid, grew up. I think he played for the Marlies, and then he played for the Leafs, and then he became a reinstated amateur, and he played for the 64 team. And Brian, his claim to fame right now is that he was on that 1967 Toronto Maple Leafs team, the last Maple Leafs team to win the Stanley Cup. And then he was involved in different elements of sport. Probably one thing that I learned in the book was that Brian was he wasn't the play-by-play man at the 72 Summit Series, right? That was Foster Hewitt, but he was the color man. So he's calling those. So that was it. So anyway, so Brian got involved in education and hockey in schools, and he was really he was frustrated about how NHL players were treated after retirement. And Brian did a lot of work in that and just caring for players. And that was kind of the national team mentality, was that it's not good enough to have hockey that just wins. That was the goal, of course, all the time. Bauer was super competitive, but it was like, how do we treat players and what's hockey really about at the international level?
Matt Hoven joining us in studio today. The book is Hockey Priest, Father David Bauer and the Spirit of the Canadian Game. Nasties, we're going to give this book away after Matt's interview and before 6 o'clock. So I'll come up with some sort of fun
Nasties are what we call.
Yes, I know. I listen to the show.
He knows.
Sorry. It's like he's thinking, what the heck?
No, I've never been a nasty. I admit. I don't do that. But I listen. I thought I had to text in.
There is a nasty club.
Okay.
But anybody who listens really
so I'm just a nasty, but I'm kind of a lower end nasty.
So you mentioned you were surprised with finding out that he had the run in there that you unearthed kind of thing through looking through the archives. What other because obviously somebody of that stature you hold at a higher standard to. But was there any other stories that you came across or run-ins that were surprising to you when you were doing your research?
Yeah, I guess one thing I learned. Was just so he brings on the national team in 64, and they end up in the end they didn't get a bronze medal, but it was given to them years later. So they got third at that World Championships. And so then there was a question of how are they going to get better? So Bauer starts to get the best junior players. So he's talking with young guys that are 16, 17, and 18 and trying to get them into his program. So, around 1966, 67, he's going down to cottage country in southern Ontario. He's meeting with Bobby Orr and Alan Eagleson. He's trying to get the best young talent. Well, you can imagine what the owners and the general managers in the NHL think of that.
Right.
So then it's a battle of talent. And so some of it does get nasty. Some of the players are told if you play with the national team, you'll never play in the NHL.
Oh, of course.
So it gets a little bit of mudslinging like that. So that I don't get into that too much because you can see if there's only so much talent and there's people combining, there's going to be a battle. Well, what's neat that comes out of it is that the dispute's big enough that Hockey Canada is formed. And that's the international body in Canada for the sport. And effectively, because of that battle, that tug of war, Bauer brought the NHL into international hockey.
Wow.
So we think of the Summit Series as the main one in 72, but it's actually when Hockey Canada's formed, and it was Bauer that pushed the limit, and I argue this in the book, is that's why the NHL got involved. Now, down the road, of course, quickly they saw they could make money and U.S. television contracts and all that. But really, he was the impetus to get that ball rolling.
How many, because we were talking about this when we talked on the phone a few days ago, or maybe it's more than you could count. How many rinks and hockey facilities are named after him in Canada?
Yeah, well, the two main ones are in Calgary, and that was before the 80 Olympics. They renovated that. And then UBC. The neat story about the UBC arena was that when he got the team, the Canadian Amateur Hockey Association needed a plan to go to the World Championships and Olympics, and they agreed with Bauer. So he starts a team, and he had no team, no jersey, no players, no equipment, no ice rink either. And so he's a priest that's working at St. Mark's College, and he would teach philosophy and ethics, and he was a chaplain out there, but he's also coaching the UBC hockey team. But they don't even have a rink on campus. So Bauer finds out a rink that was made on the island for $500,000, and he was able to ask Molson's for some money and other parties, and they raised $500,000, and they built the identical same rink down to the toilets, they say, on UBC campus. And Mickey McDowell told me that story. He was a national team player, and he was just like, only Bauer could do that. To master a plan to get a rink built that quickly, up and running, so the team would have somewhere to practice leading up to the 64 games.
Okay, so that is a great story. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Okay,
you didn't know that a priest went to Molson Canadian to ask for funding for an arena?
No. Just so you got to get this neat thing about Bauer. So he's in Waterloo, and his family is a business family. So his father had inherited a company, and it was putting the soft things, the padded seats, soundproofing in vehicles, even in horse-drawn carriages. So they were working with Henry Ford I. So this company had been around a while. He also had an uncle who ran the brewery in town. And so that brewery would be bought out by Carling O'Keefe. But so Bauer, there was a sense of knowing, brewery companies. And so asking the Molsons, as strange as it sounds, he was connected and his family was prominent enough. He was cool with that. Yeah.
All right. So what is happening 1 week from today, Matt?
Yeah. So 1 week from today, we'll be in the Hockey Hall of Fame. We'll be in the Great Hall. And we're going to have the official book launch. So thrilled about it. So we've got a few panelists. We're just finalizing it. It's tough when the players that were on his teams are in their 80s now. But Brian Conacher will be there.
Oh, nice.
And we're just a couple. We got I hate to say their name right now, but it looks like it's going to be finalized. So we'll be launching the book there. Hopefully, we won't get swallowed up by Taylor Swift and all the Swifties. But,
is that next weekend?
It's same weekend. Same weekend, but it should be a great event and just really cool. Bauer was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1989. So it was a year after he died, and he's a prominent figure, and you learn just about his importance of the Canadian game. So it just felt only right to do it somewhere of significance.
Have you been to the Hockey Hall of Fame?
Yeah, years ago, and on this trip I went too. So
I guess part of your
yeah. So it was in the archives there and saw some cool stuff. So
that's so cool that you did that. Tell us a little bit about your role as an associate professor at St. Joseph's College at the U of A. What's your day-to-day life?
Yeah, so prof at the U of A, associate professor, and what the course like I taught this morning is a course called Sport and Religion. So where people students look at it, what's this about? Well, you think the ancient Olympics.
Oh, nice.
That was practice. Yeah. That was a religious ceremony. Same with lacrosse. Indigenous people call it the creator's game. And a lot of the games we play now had religious roots. So, James Naismith, the founder of basketball, was actually a Presbyterian minister. And the YMCA was a Christian group. But, even for hockey, the origins of hockey, a lot of hockey started with church folks. And that you had church leagues and whatnot with hockey. A neat story is the Toronto Minor Hockey Association, the largest minor hockey association in the world, was started out of a Baptist church in the basement. And so there's these neat connections, just the history, but there's a lot of connections. So that's one of the courses I teach, and that's a fun.
Sounds like a course I'd enjoy taking.
Yeah.
Learning all that.
Well, if you want a second career someday,
I love origin stories, right? And why, and
that's it.
What brought people together, and in this case,
well, that's it. Like we spent a little time on football because American football is these kids playing this rough game, and it was colleges that said, let's bring rules to this in some order.
Yeah,
and they still wanted to shut it down, but the kids wanted to play the game, and so these colleges kind of, systematized the game. And so we have NFL and college football as we see today.
And what else have you written? Have you written other books or papers or stuff we want to check out?
We wrote kind of a cool one was with a couple profs at Creighton University in Omaha, Nebraska. We put together a book called On the Eighth Day, and it's a theology of sport. So how do we think religiously about sport? And that was cool. I got to go to a Vatican conference and even gave it to Pope Francis. That was just a couple years ago. So that was cool. And he liked it. He gave me the bene. He gave me the thumbs up when I said the title. So that was awesome.
That's really good.
Yeah.
That's really okay. And what about your connection? Have you lived in Edmonton all your life?
Grew up west of Sylvan Lake. Grew up on a farm, and then been in Edmonton probably half my adult life, kind of here and there.
Okay.
Once in a while, but
so obviously you're interested, I assume, Oilers or
yes, Oilers fan. Grew up close to Red Deer, so it was a toss up. So when Steve Smith scored on Grant Fuhrer in '86, all the Flames fans, that was their one moment to gloat, and that was a very painful time for me, but we're into it. Of course, in the class we talk about superstitions and rituals and all that. Hockey's great for that to look at.
That's great. Yeah. Okay. So again, besides somebody's going to win this exact book, where can people get Father David Bauer and the Spirit of the Canadian Game, Hockey Priest?
So you can just you can find it in local bookstores, Audrey's, or you can find it online, Amazon, or wherever you buy your books.
Good. I'm glad it's out and about because I've interviewed authors in the past where it was one of those people could only order it and they weren't going to do the print until a certain amount were ordered. So this one's quite accessible.
Yeah, and we'll have to get it signed, of course.
I signed it already.
Did you?
I signed it. I was on it
for the potential winner. This is incredible. Matt knows the drill.
He's done this once or twice. He went to the Vatican.
Taking it to the Hockey Hall of Fame. This is amazing. Okay. Well, Matt, thanks for telling your story and for telling us the story behind the story you wrote about Father David Bauer's story. It's a lot of stories.
something like that.
Hockey Priest is the name of the book. Matt Hoven, if people are Googling this or want to remember for later, pretty easy to remember, Hoven, exactly how it sounds. So, we'll hold it up closer to the camera when we give it away, but people can give it a Google as well because this is going to be super interesting for hockey fans. This is a great Canadian hockey story. I learned a lot just from the stuff you said during this interview. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by. That is Matt Hoven. Hockey Priest is the book. We got the Cube with the sports update.
Canucks getting underway. It's the Red Wings with puck drop against the Maple Leafs as they find themselves without Austin Matthews as he hits the injury reserve. And later, it's the Capitals playing the Penguins. The Golden Knights facing off with the Kraken and the Wild, battling the Anaheim Ducks. And Tanner Jeannot of the Kings has been suspended 3 games for his illegal hit to the head yesterday against Brock Besser. On the play, Jeannot received a game misconduct with Brock Besser exiting the game as well. The NBA sees the Pacers taking on the Hornets, the Hawks tipping off with the Pistons, and the Pelicans meeting with the Magic for 13 total games in the association. And tomorrow, it's the CFL Division Finals, seeing the Argos kicking off with the Alouettes, as well as the Riders taking on the Winnipeg Blue Bombers to decide who makes it to this year's Grey Cup. And this sports update has been brought to you by Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy. Get treated like a pro with their highly skilled crew. Whether you're recovering from an injury or looking to enhance your performance, Advantage Sports Medicine and Physiotherapy uses the same locker room approach, trusted by the best in the game. Find them online at advantagesportmed.ca. Reid Wilkins' show continues just after these messages. I'm Zachary Kubusch for your sports update.
Ready for an unforgettable sports experience? It's the EST Flyaway to LA. Presented by the 780. Listen daily for the EST Flyaway keyword. Once you hear it, text us at 780-218-9999 for your chance to qualify to fly to LA. Round trip flights for 2, hotel and car rentals, all to go see Edmonton face off against either LA or Anaheim. Plus, experience the brand new Intuit Dome as the Clippers tip off against the Warriors, and top it all off with the Rams kicking off against the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium. This is more than just a trip. This is the ultimate sports experience. The EST Flyaway to LA, presented by the 780 and Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
You want the heavy hitters on your team, both on and off the ice. If you've been injured in a car accident, call the heavy hitters of injury law. James H. Brown and Associates, Alberta injury lawyers. With over 200 years of combined injury law experience, their precedent-setting lawyers are ready to help. Locally owned and proud Edmonton Oilers fans, James H. Brown and Associates wants to support you with their unrivaled experience, unrivaled results, and unrivaled commitment. When accidents happen, head to jameshbrown.com.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
All right, portions of this hour presented by the Canadian Brewhouse. NFL lives at the Canadian Brewhouse. Thursday Night Football, your chance to win a trip to an NFL home opener of your choice. $1 off tankards of Bud Light and Budweiser. Details at thecanadianbrewhouse.com. So Matt Hoven just joined us, associate professor at St. Joseph's College at the U of A. The book here, we're giving away this copy, and Matt signed it. Hockey Priest, Father David Bauer, and the Spirit of the Canadian Game. I'm going to have to read this one myself. But we're giving this one away. You have to answer a trivia question correctly on the text line, 780-218-9999. Which 2 players on the 1980 Canadian Olympic hockey team would go on to play for the Edmonton Oilers? I think this is pretty easy. I think he mentioned both of them.
He did.
I think, and people probably know this anyway. So first, right,
I'm watching it right now.
Yeah, Jay's keeping a very close eye on it. Which 2 players who became Oilers were on the 1980 Canadian Olympic team that played in the Lake Placid Olympics? Some of the players, Jim Nill was on that team, now obviously GM of the Dallas Stars. Paul McLean, Kevin Primo was on the team, but we're thinking about 2 pretty high-profile future Oilers were on that club. Nothing yet, eh?
Got it.
We got it. Who got it?
Norman Akombine.
Norman Akombine's going to get the book. Okay, good stuff. And, of course, the right answer.
He knows where to find us.
Randy Gregg and Glenn Anderson. Yeah.
Randy Gregg, Glenn Anderson. Norm, you can come by. We won't be here on Monday, obviously, but Tuesday through Friday, come by and grab
so
that.
We'll tell Matt or somebody that Norm won. Here, I'm going to take that. Here, Coop, come hold this up right in front of, for the people on YouTube, just so they can see the book. Hockey Priest by Matt Hoven. Great to have him in.
And he's a nasty.
Yeah, he likes listening to the
show. Can't you love
show.
this guy?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah,
Grumpy Cat.
We're getting a good shot of it.
Grumpy Cat says he just listens to your show. Sounds like he's a diabolical.
The diabolical dialogue, as I call the nasty chat. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube. The streak might end today, just like Cal Ripken Jr. eventually had to miss a game.
Oh.
Coob's reading the book right now. He's so excited for it. Oh, you want to read it? Maybe you'll finish it by 6 o'clock. We need you to do some stuff for the show too. We do have a visual.
Okay, I just want to say, if you are listening, obviously, hammer that thumbs up. We'd like to keep the streak alive, but Reid doesn't know this yet. But I'm going to ask him a question in the final segment of the show here.
Exciting.
That was something he alluded to earlier in the show. That has to do with trolls in the playoffs, and I want to dig deeper into that. That really caught me.
Sure,
and,
I can talk
and we
about
can
that.
take a little bit of a deep dive into your experience with that over the years. But right now, we've got something else.
We have our top 3. So, Zach, you got to get those pictures ready. So, Reid's top 3 for Fuge sausage, the best sausages you will ever eat, locally made and packed full of flavor. Order online or visit them in store, 6736 99th Street. Take advantage of their EST discount. 10% off your order by entering online code EST or mentioning EST in store. Free delivery in Edmonton on orders over $100. As Fuge Sausage says, you can't beat our meat. So, this is the top 3 aliases of Tom Gazzola. A nice, lighthearted, late in the show on Friday topic to have.
Well, I guess the backstory will be presented.
The backstory is going to be apparent. Can we do the other one first? Coob, I'm sorry. I just see the one you're putting up. So Tom went to cover the UFC event that was at the Fight Night on Saturday, and he goes to his spot, and it is a spot reserved for Tony Gazzola of Edmonton Sports Talk. Now, I don't know. Maybe Tom didn't put his name clearly enough on his application accreditation. He was probably on computer, though, so I don't think he would have typed his name wrong. So they accidentally, and if you're on YouTube, you can see it now, they accidentally gave his spot, or called his spot Tony Gazzola. So that is our first alias of Tom Gazzola is Tony Gazzola.
Well, and Zach, didn't you have that yours was like you were the CEO of Edmonton Sports Talk?
No, I wouldn't go that far up to CEO, but I had to, say that we were a credible source, say, one of my supervisors, to get accreditation. And I said, Matty Iwanek, COO of the company. And I went to go get my accreditation, and it said Zachary Kubusch, the COO of Edmonton Sports Talk. And I'm like, wow.
Okay.
What a day. Okay.
All right.
So Tony Gazzola, and it kind of works.
It kind of works.
I think that's his alter ego for UFC Fight Night.
All right. So Tom is also the, is this his 5th season, did he say he's going into, of the Bow Zone?
It's been a while.
Is it Wild TV?
Wild TV, yeah.
So now we've got to remember, Tom has done this show 4 years and going to do it 5. So they put out a promo today for the host of this show, hosted by, I don't remember what it was. I can't see it. Ganzola?
Ganzola.
Tom Ganzola.
Tommy Ganzola.
Where's my picture? Yeah, Tom Gonzola.
Gonzola.
Tom
That's right.
Gonzola. Gonzola. So that is our second alias of Tom Gazzola, Tom Gonzola, host of Bozone Live.
So from now on, I think we have to refer to him as Gonzo. So nasty chat tomorrow night on the pre and post game show. Gonzo, what's up? He will get it because we were in the bullpen and this came to light.
And I think he said they did this last year too.
Big Uke says, Tony Gazzola, European gigolo. Pitwall Nasty says, Tommy, the Fugazi.
So
Tom Gonzola.
Yeah, it's a very nice picture of him, host of the Bozone. He looks very naturey. What would the word be? He looks very wildernessy in the picture.
He looks like he has got a good scent on.
Yeah. Very musky.
Very musky.
Musky Tom.
Yeah.
That'll be an unofficial alias in the top 3. So he was Tony Gazzola, and then he was Tom Gonzola.
Kind of, but if you put the two together,
it was
put the two
and
together.
And the thing is, what?
Tony Gonzola.
Tony Gonzola. So the thing is, okay, I know I'm kind of being maybe a little mean here because people make mistakes. The Tony Gazzola one is maybe a little more understandable because these could be UFC people who are rolling through town. They're setting up an event. They're getting all these accreditations.
I see what you're saying.
They're going
yeah.
stuff, and somebody put Tony instead of Tom, or somebody passed a note or got whatever. But this Wild TV one, he works for the station. This would be Matthew Awanek putting a promo on YEG Sports Talk on Instagram and calling it the Randy Wilkins Show, or
Reid
Wilkins WILKONZ.
Or Reid Wilkinson.
Yeah, he's the host of this show for several seasons. And by the way, if people at Wild TV are mad, you're getting a lot of free plugs here for the Bozone Live, hosted by Tom Gonzola. So. This is the one that to me is the more egregious error.
I agree because he's been part of the crew for so many years. But just like the Oilers, people make mistakes.
They do make mistakes.
Happen.
But you got to laugh when it's a colleague and he's the host of the show.
There's tons of names coming in here.
Into where?
Into the
inbox?
The afternoon inbox, yeah. Tomothy Gargonzola, Tony Gonzo, Tommy Gargonzola.
And that's the thing. That's actually all I planned for the third alias is just people suggesting things.
Send them in.
Because, what did you say? Tom Gondola?
Gondola. Yeah, that's what I saw. Gonzola.
So Tom could do a travel show where he goes to Venice and he becomes Tom Gondola. Isn't that how they get around Venice, Italy? In gondolas?
No, you're thinking the boats?
Yes.
That's not a gondola.
What do you call those?
Gondola is how you get up a mountain.
What's the boats that they use in... Aren't you a gondolier if you do that?
Maybe I'm wrong. Gondola. You're right.
Right.
I'm wrong.
So
Forgive me.
You were both right.
We're both right.
So the gondola is
I didn't
the
know
thing.
that.
The gondola is the tram, the hanging car.
Yeah.
Right. They use in the mountains. So actually, Tom could have a gondola show where he goes to mountain locations and takes gondolas and does reviews of them, and then he could go to Venice and become a gondolier, and we could have the Tom Gondola show.
So the first name has got to be Tony.
Or Tony Gondola.
Tony Gondola? Now, is it gondola or gondola?
Oh, for this alias, it's gondola.
Gondola. Tony Gondola?
Yeah, that's our third alias.
That's his third alias.
Tony Gondola.
It's a perfect mixture of everything. And yes, Matt Hyman, there still is Hello Hockey tomorrow morning. So.
Oh, yeah. Hello Hockey's at 10.
Tony Gondola will be hosting the Hello Hockey tomorrow morning.
Oh, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny.
And I don't think he's listening right now because I think he's getting an activation in.
Pat wants our Hardy Cup prediction. Wow, I did not expect that. Huskies. Because I think the Rams was a pretty big upset. I don't think they're actually that good. I'll reluctantly pick the Saskatchewan Huskies. And we both have picked Winnipeg, right? No.
Yeah, we both picked Winnipeg.
Yeah, we both picked Winnipeg.
You picked Toronto, I picked Montreal. Tim Onathy, Gorgonzola.
This is too good. This is too good. All right, let's do the contest here. The EST Flyaway to LA presented by the 780. I'm wearing a 780 shirt today. A homegrown local shop right here at Edmonton. 780, both the shop name and their in-house clothing brand that celebrates all things unique to E-Town. They also work with close to 100 local vendors from the 780 area code to help promote and get their brands off the ground. Check them out online, 780.com, the word 7, the numbers 80.com, or at any of their 5 locations, Southgate, Londonderry, Kingsway, St. Albert, and the Outlet Mall by the airport. We're qualifying people 4 times each weekday. until November 28th. We'll also qualify somebody on Hello Hockey tomorrow. The trip being given away November 29th on the Nielsen Show. And the trip is December 26th to the 30th, a flight for 2 to Los Angeles with hotel and rental car. You get to see the Clippers play the Warriors, the Rams play the Cardinals, and you will see a hockey game involving your beloved Edmonton club as well. You have to text this in, 780-218-9999. The keyword is West. The keyword is West to qualify for the Flyaway to LA presented by the 780. Tony Galileo, another suggestion.
These are good.
These are very, very good. You guys are doing great.
Tony Gondola.
As we are having some chuckles in the James H. Brown studio, James H. Brown personal injury law firm, the heavy hitters of injury law. With over 200 years of experience, James H. Brown will get you the settlement you deserve. Check him out at jameshbrown.com today or book your private consultation. The top 3 aliases of Tom Gazzola. We got more than 3 today, but 2 specifically in which his name was in writing at a through formal broadcasting announcement or event.
God bless Tommy.
That's incredible. Okay, give us a thumbs up if you're on YouTube. We are making a final push to get to 100. Please help us get there. And Dustin Nielsen, what is he giving us? Soap?
No, the remnants of his children's candy bags from Halloween. One treat at a time. We'll have to split it, or maybe you get one day. Because there's only 4 days next week.
All right. Well, did I do Fuge? Yeah, I did Fuge. I did the full thing. We just didn't do a skit today.
Yeah.
There he is. Yes, I have some sausages here for a Tim Gazzola.
Hey, baby.
You look a lot like that Tom Gazzola guy from Edmonton Sports Talk.
It's not me.
You're Tim Gazzola. Okay. Well, here are your sausages. 10% off as well.
10% off.
10% off. This is too much fun. We're back for a final segment. Jay's going to ask me a question about something. We'll see how that goes. We'll talk to the qualifier as well. It's Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Right now, it's the Red Wings and the Maple Leafs scoreless midway through the first with puck drop between the Capitals and Penguins in just a moment. Later, it's the Golden Knights facing off with the Kraken and the Wild battling the Ducks with the Oilers back at it tomorrow. Tanner Jeannot of the Kings has been suspended 3 games for his illegal hit to the head yesterday against Brock Boeser. On the play, Jeannot received a game misconduct with Brock Boeser exiting the game as well. And in the NBA right now, there's 3 games underway with the Pacers trailing by 3 against the Hornets. The Pelicans down by 14 against the Magic. And the Pistons over the Hawks, 37-22. All those games at the end of the first quarter. And in just a moment, it's the Nets tipping off against the Celtics. Tomorrow, it's the CFL Division Series, seeing the Argos and Alouettes, as well as the Riders kicking off with the Blue Bombers to decide who makes it to the Grey Cup. And just after the break, it's the final segment before the weekend for the Reid Wilkins Show. I'm Zachary Kubusch, keeping you in the loop.
Wilson and Lieutenant Eric, weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Looking for a winning strategy for your retirement? Contact me, Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
At Mind 360, we invite you to embark on your mental health journey in a safe and comfortable space. Conveniently located in St. Albert, Mind 360 has a diverse team of experienced clinicians that offer a broad range of tailored services for children, adults, and families. Furthermore, we are very proud to serve our military, veterans, and first responders. If you're looking for counseling, treatment, or assessment, understand that you are not alone. Contact Mind360 at mind360.ca to book an appointment today.
Edmonton Sports Talk delivers a mass audience of key, influential customers to your business, all while you associate your company brand with the biggest names, the hottest sports news, and teams from every league around the globe. Oilers and Elks, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, and the association, Formula One, soccer, golf. Oh, sweet mama! The excitement is palatable on Edmonton Sports Talk. It's where fans go to get their sports fix and where our partners find the most loyal consumers. Contact us today and see how our team on Edmonton Sports Talk can score the biggest goals for your business. With various advertising options available, email business@edmontonsportstalk.com or head to our website and send a message at edmontonsportstalk.com.
All right. Yeah, Norman, a Combine, the trivia winner of the book Hockey Priest by Matt Hoven, Associate Prof at St. Joseph's College at the U of A. The question, of course, was which two Oilers played for the 1980 Canadian Olympic team, Glenn Anderson and Randy Gregg. The answer there. We got a lot of fun suggestions for aliases for Tom Gazzola after... What did they call him again? Tony Gonzola for the Bozone Live, and Tony Gazzola.
The Gonzola one takes the cake.
That's too good. That's too good. Give us a thumbs up on YouTube, please, or tell somebody else on YouTube to leave what they're watching and give us a thumbs up because we want to get to 100 once again. Thanks. A lot of fun stuff in the nasty chat today and on the text. What was our other thing? Oh, the most hated Canuck. Who did we have an informal winner? Might have been Kessler. It would have been Kessler, I think. Yeah.
Well, and that leads me to our, what are we going to call this? Behind the
just
curtain.
talking to me.
Behind the curtain with Reid Wilkins.
Behind my shower curtain. No, nobody wants that.
Oh, our numbers went down.
People are giving it a thumbs down now.
Well, you were talking about during our Vancouver talk about how on Overtime Open Line you'd see plenty of trolls. And we had that here too. Last playoffs, whether it was mostly Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
What my question to you is, first, would Vancouver be, I guess, would have the most number of trolls?
Well, I can tell you this. It was a different landscape when the Oilers played the Canucks in the playoffs, and probably even after a couple of games in the regular season. And, look, we took calls on Overtime Open Line, and we give out the phone number, and you kind of trust that people are called, even if they're upset or whatever, that they're going to participate in good faith in your program. But even, the Canucks swept them in that regular season home and home right at the start of the year, and we got a couple calls that were sort of all like weird trade suggestions, like obviously dumb trade suggestions, quite frankly, but were really critical of Oilers players, like not just critical, but like insulting, like running. And there was one guy that like, Edmonton's a terrible place to live, and you're all stupid. It's okay, buddy, thanks. So that was there, and then they played them in the playoff series, and it really ramped up. And I would not bring this up if I wasn't sure about it, but there was a different level of trolling from what I believe were Canucks supporters participating in Edmonton sports shows, like you guys had it here and we had it on Overtime Open Line. So there was a guy during the regular season who called in and said, the Oilers should, need a goalie and Draisaitl's useless and they should trade Draisaitl for Casey DeSmith, their backup. And Rob and I kind of laughed but gave a half serious answer to the guy. So the Oilers lose game one and he calls back and says the exact, and I recognized the voice right away. So he says that, and I cut him off, and I'm like, okay, we get it, buddy. Thanks for calling. You're a Canucks fan. And then the guy that the guy who hated, like always said bad things about Edmonton, he was almost humorous because he would start like a normal call, and then he just couldn't help himself. He would start, like he would try to act like he was an Oilers fan. He would just call in and say, I'm really disappointed with how the Oilers played tonight. I just think they're so lazy and they can't do anything. And McDavid is so terrible. He's such a little baby. And Edmonton stinks and nobody likes living there. And we're like, okay, buddy. Like it was...
No way.
So, but why I say it was noticeable was not just the calls that got through. Kellen Kennedy, the studio operator there, said after all those games, especially the ones the Oilers lost, the call board lit up with numbers with the BC area codes, whatever they are. And so he would just ignore those calls and let them kind of give up, and then you'd get the actual legitimate callers for the most part. But there were people he was screening. Unfortunately, a couple still got through, but that kept happening in the Dallas and the Stanley Cup Final Series. That Vancouver fans kept listening to 630 Chad and probably Edmonton Sports Talk to troll Oilers fans after the Oilers lost the game. A couple slipped through. There was a guy that slipped through after Game 7 that said something about McDavid being on meth. And, of course, we hung up on him as soon as he says that. But I assume that was a Vancouver fan. So it appeared to be somewhat organized, that they must have been saying, let's all do this and try to be pains. The thing that I found curious was, first of all, that level of commitment to participate in something that really you're not interested in. Like if you're a Canucks fan, wouldn't you be more content about talking about the Canucks after the game as opposed to going on the other cities' programming? And then at least from the way Rob and I conducted ourselves, the first couple times it happened, we interacted with the person a little bit and then moved on. But then as if a Canucks fan or what we believed was a Canucks troll would get through, we didn't spend any time on them. We realized is this guy? I'd usually just say something like, okay, great, like Canucks fan, thanks, and we'd hang up. So they wasted 10 seconds of the show. It's not like we were engaging with them and getting into stupid arguments with them and letting them take the show off the rails. We were pretty much just being like, oh, okay, Canucks fan, good for you, man. Have a good off season. So, I get it if Rob and I would have fallen for it and the show would have been coming if we wouldn't have been talking about the Oilers and we just would have been arguing with Canucks fans. I guess I could see why they might get some kind of weird satisfaction out of that.
Yeah.
But we weren't giving them any time. But a lot of them committed to it, again, right until Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, that they were sitting there, like I said, trolling Ched, trolling Edmonton Sports Talk, I assume. Like you said, there was stuff.
Well, I wasn't full-time here, but I would come in and, fill in from time to time, and I'd be on the hangout. And it's the beauty of having the nasty chat.
Yeah.
Is that they seem to weed those people out pretty quick.
Yeah, the nasties tend to be like, get out of here for sure.
But you know what?
Yeah.
As long as you're not saying derogatory things towards any of the
Which
hosts or any of the other people in the chat, then, free world. You can say whatever you want, but if it got out of hand, then obviously they could be easily removed.
But it was definitely something different that I hadn't seen from other fan bases.
And orchestrated, it would appear.
At least to some extent. Who do we have, Coop?
Kyle.
Kyle, you're on with Reid and Jay. How's your day?
Good, fellas. How are you?
Doing very well. Who's your least favorite Vancouver Canuck of all time?
Oh, the Bertuzzi thing was pretty bad.
A couple people mentioned him for sure. Yeah. All right. You're the qualifier for the flyaway to LA presented by the 780. Thanks for hanging on hold while I was going on my ramble there. You ever been to Los Angeles before?
No. I haven't, and what a lead-in. I was going to be an alias and call in and prank you guys, but here we are.
That's okay. Have you ever seen NFL or NBA live?
NBA, yes. NFL, no.
Where'd you go to an NBA game?
I saw a game in Phoenix.
Oh, cool. Okay. Awesome stuff. Well, thanks for listening to the show. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. Hope you're having a great day, and you're a qualifier. So please listen to the Nielsen Show on the 29th. That's when we're going to name the winner, buddy.
I certainly will. Thanks, guys.
Okay, that's Kyle checking in the EST flyaway to LA. So went to an NBA game in Phoenix. I guess that'd be a place a lot of Canadians would go to maybe see a game.
Hockey game, football game.
It would have been really easy to see a hockey game there.
Yeah.
Well, then they made the smaller rink. Well, they didn't make the smaller rink. They moved into the smaller rink.
Or this January, February, you can go down there and see Eric Zabrowski. Pitching for the
watch
Guardians.
Him pitch in what do they call that? That's Cactus League in Arizona.
Interesting that, we had Eric Zabrowski on. Obviously, he's signed with the Guardians.
Yeah.
We talked about Chuba Hubbard getting a max deal with the Carolina Panthers. Local product. Bev Facey's own out in Sherwood Park. So extremely, extremely proud to report on that and very well deserved. This has been one of his best years.
Yeah.
So good for him. That is such a great story.
And just to circle back, we had that someone tweeted us a few weeks ago saying, like, well, I won't listen to your station because I like when Reid took calls. But most people were kind of like, audience interaction, I think, is important. It doesn't have to specifically be a phone call, though. And as I said, when we were talking about that, a lot of audience members don't actually want to hear other audience members. You know what I mean? I know, yes, we don't read every text, or we might get 15 texts that are similar, so we read the one or two best worded ones. So I realized, well, somebody might feel they didn't read my text, but I think they know, the sentiment of what I said was expressed by somebody else, so my point was still addressed, as opposed to, as I said, handing the radio station, even for a few seconds, over to somebody else that you don't know who they are. You don't know if they're honest. You don't know if they're pretending to be somebody else. You don't know if they have honest intentions calling the show, right? So there was always that tightrope walking with taking calls. And I didn't like, I honestly think I was probably too patient with people.
Sure.
I probably was. Maybe some people probably thought I was rude or cut people off. If anything, I was probably too patient with people, because I usually, really see where they're going, let them express themselves, because I'd always think, maybe they have no one else to talk to about the game. Maybe they're going to get to a question for Rob or something else. Like, it's okay that they're a little bit of emotional, but I don't feel I have not felt doing this show that I wish we took calls, because there's interaction. The Nasties are great with interacting. You and I get the stuff. We talk about a lot of stuff, and I don't mean that I hated taking calls, but I don't miss it. And there were nights it would be like the same three people would call after every game and say the exact same thing. Well, that might drive other people away.
Yes. I think that format, call in, would drive people away more than it would attract people. And I've often wondered, like, who is the person that does that? Who is the troll? And what do you, but my cousin's husband will do that. He'll go on other team sites and Facebook pages and
post
stuff. I'm like, wow.
But what are you getting out of, like?
Probably a laugh, I guess.
I guess.
Now, he's like a diehard super fan. And for him, at least what he said to me was that, yeah, he just likes getting a laugh and a rise out of people. So there you go, right? The more attention you bring to it, the more it satisfies said trolls. When you just simply shut it down, well, that ends that.
Hopefully.
There were some Florida ones that were pretty good, too.
In the finals?
Yes.
Yeah, see, I don't know if we got any of that.
No, they could have just been, pissed off Vancouver fans that were.
Yeah. Well, and that's and I mean, that's the frustrating thing for me was I'm trusting somebody as a host that you're going to respect the show that I'm doing, right? And that I was giving you 6:30 Ched for even a few seconds. So when somebody was obviously being a jerk, and it wasn't just about people who were critical or upset about how the team played. That was fine. It was the people who were obviously crossing the line or being dishonest about what they wanted to talk about or gave a wrong name or stuff like that. Like that would kind of bug me, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Grumpy Cat, back to our off-topic topic, says Bieksa for sure. Guy looked like a Neanderthal on the ice. Hell of an analyst, though.
Do people enjoy his work as an analyst?
Yeah,
well, he does, obviously.
I think the general sentiment is yes.
That he does a good job?
Yep.
Okay.
Well, it's kind of like the why you would like a Luke Gazdic, because they're former players talking about it.
Yeah.
And they have a good way with words. Now, obviously, Bieksa took a little bit too far with some comments he made about certain media members in Edmonton.
Well, there was one little thing you thought he was being funny and he wasn't.
What did you think about that?
I just thought, okay, you wanted to take a shot at people and you did it. Like, it kind of says more about him than about me.
Does that change your opinion of him?
A little bit.
Sure. Yeah. I don't see how it couldn't.
Yeah, a little bit. Because I kind of think, why even go there?
Right.
Because you get a cheap, quick laugh out of it. But
yeah,
so what?
It's an easy one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the moment, he did it. Whatever. It's
Les
fine.
Sweet
I mean, I'm
says-
never going to talk to the guy, so it doesn't really matter to me. It's not like, I thought we were friends.
He ain't coming on this show.
He doesn't know who I am, and he's irrelevant to me, so whatever.
Les Sweet. Remember he wrote in yesterday about Saucivore?
Yes.
He says, FYI, I finished my story with the Saucivore. Saucivore is a minor character. But if you want to read the 64-page nonsense, I will snail mail the document to the office. You could probably email it to
Yeah,
me,
you
right?
probably. The only thing, like, Les, if this is something, a story like you were legitimately trying to sell or publish, I would actually say don't share it with us, because then if you win awards for this, I can't come back and say, oh yeah, Les, remember when you emailed it to me and I made all these revisions. Like, I'm being serious.
Really?
Yes.
This comes from somebody that's written
I sent a script once to I wrote a Simpsons script in university, and I sent it to the Simpsons, and they said, we are returning this to you unopened because we didn't solicit it to you and we don't want to ever be accused of stealing ideas from you. Basically was the tone of the message.
What was the script?
It actually was Homer and Bart started playing hockey, and then a couple of years later they did do a hockey episode, though it was nothing like the one I wrote, and it was way funnier.
Do you still have it?
I don't know. Probably not.
Did you write it as a script?
Yes.
Homer says,
yes.
Bart says,
yes.
How many pages was this?
I don't know. 30, 25.
Wow. Typewriter?
No, I would have had a computer.
Fancy. Dot matrix, huh?
Probably dot matrix printer.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
but
we would
if you
do
just
to get
if you just want us to read your story for fun, Les, we will read it. But if you literally are, if you're actually trying to sell it or get it published, I would say just share it with like an editor and your agent.
What if he wants you to be his agent?
Not qualified.
How do you know? You wrote a script for The Simpsons.
Yeah, well, the one person read, me. All right, goof ups. Apparently, they can no longer play football at Rogers Center. I didn't know that because of the renovations. That's my goof up. Somebody pointed that out. Thank you.
Koob, do you have anything to admit?
Well, the one thing that stuck out to me, I was like, is gondola? Like, I had a goof up in my head, too, when you said, no, the gondola is like the sky tram or whatever you want to call it that brings you up like Grouse Mountain has or whatever like that. But it's the other thing as well. So
That was
a
one of
goof up
mine.
in my mind, too.
But I did get notified of one of yours, that you had Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas up instead of our names at one point.
Oh, I didn't
That
know
is
that.
right. I
Okay.
had Guy Flaming's name right, though.
You did.
Yes.
That's all that matters. And I asked a stupid question. That's my goof up.
There is no stupid question, only stupid answers.
I asked essentially if home field advantage means something to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I think that's a stupid question. But he answered it very, very well. And to be honest, when I was asking it, I got it mixed up. I thought, because Saskatchewan's been the ones that have failed to sell out their stadium. Winnipeg's been sold out for the better half of the second half of the season. So
You're fine. You're fine.
Hey, thanks.
Hello Hockey at 10 tomorrow morning, and then the Oil Stream GCL Diesel pregame show at 7. Oilers and Canucks play at 8. This was a great week of broadcasting here on the Reid Wilkins Show with Jay Milne. On behalf of the Coob and the Glue Guy, I'm Reid. Have a good long weekend.
Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.